97.5 thefanatic.com.
Well, yesterday was pretty interesting because we were mortal enemies to the city of Philadelphia, John, because we were critical of Bryce Harper.
We weren't the only one.
I thought fairly critical, but that's okay. And so here's the deal. I told you that I had a moment a few years ago where I realized a lot of people of my generation don't want to be like their dads.
Yep.
So how much have you changed? How much have we changed when it comes to Philadelphia sports? We talk about family history of Philadelphia sports.
We do.
And a whole lot more. Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
Stars in cities, especially like Philadelphia, they are always on the map, and we should expect more winning out of them.
And we'll go to the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. I am a believer that your best player, I think there is also a responsibility as the team spokesperson.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Fanatic Payday Friday. Philadelphia man Andrew Salciunas alongside my man John Kincade. Johnny, good morning.
And my morning's been better than yours, but you're here and you are well under pressure. I love it.
Yeah, I'm here. I made
well
it.
Under pressure.
You know, some people, if their cars wouldn't start, just wouldn't come into work. But I decided, you know what? For the sanctity of this show, I have to be here today. Shout out to Antoinette, who picked me up bright and early. The Lyft driver, her son graduating high school today.
Congratulations.
So congratulations to Antoinette and her family from Delaware. I appreciate the ride into One Ballot Plaza. Here we are, and it's a Fanatic Friday. So, you know, look, it started off like crap.
Yeah, but now
we're
it's
going to end
have
on
fun.
a high note.
We're
Yeah,
gonna have fun
absolutely.
Today.
So yesterday, we talked about the Bryce Harper moment in the fourth inning from their final game against the Giants, where he hits a sharp grounder to shortstop. And the shortstop of the Giants wisely throws it offline, and the first baseman had enough time to catch it and tag first base because Bryce Harper did not run down the first baseline. I don't even know if you could call it what he did was jogging.
It was jogging.
Maybe.
I mean, it was a light jog.
He was still far away from first base. Now, look, in the middle of May or end of May, if there's 2 outs in the inning, nobody on base, all right, whatever. The problem was there were 2 runners on, second and third, 2 outs, errant throw. Bryce Harper gets the first base. Runner scores. You have runners on first and third. Alec Boehm's up next. Alec Boehm, third, leader in RBI in Major League Baseball this year. You get the point.
Okay.
The Phillies also dropped 3 straight games before that. They were on the verge of getting swept by the Giants. The previous game, they got shut out, so every run mattered at the time. But, John, God forbid we point that out because there were a lot of people that were upset or defending Bryce Harper, or Connor wasn't upset with us, just more so confused that we were making a federal case out of it, even though we were being clear that it was not a federal case.
Right.
But obviously, you know how people react on social media. They don't hear the entire point. They don't read the entire article, and that's life. I'm kind of used to that at this point. But what I find interesting, John, is how much things have changed. We brought up Jimmy Rollins yesterday. Jimmy Rollins would have gotten destroyed. 20 years ago really isn't all that long.
And nobody would have been, oh, my gosh, you can't go over the best hitter in the history of the franchise? The leader? The guy who won us a World Series? No, really, nobody would have said, you can't call out Jimmy Rollins.
Right.
Period.
Absolutely.
Nobody would have been in their feelings about it. Nobody would have said, you guys are being too tough on Jimmy Rollins, especially in our business.
Right.
Nobody would have ever uttered the words.
Oh, and let's face it, our business has also gotten a lot lighter than back in the day.
It's gotten more fanboyish.
It's been.
It's gotten much more fan. And maybe that's not a bad thing.
Right.
I think it's moved too far that direction.
I agree with you.
But I absolutely think it has gotten much better in its tone, its tenor. It's not as nasty.
So I told you yesterday that I had this moment a few years ago where I realized, and it's not me doing it because I think I'm very much like my father when it comes to my fandom, that I'm quick to boo, I'm quick to rip, I'm quick to say trade that guy, it's never going to work, except for the Sixers. But I know a lot of people of my age that try not to be like their fathers, because they hear the Michael Wilbons of the world ripping Philadelphia on a constant basis. Any chance they can, they're going to rip Philadelphia.
Any opportunity.
They're going to bring up snowballs at Santa, which happened 60 years ago, right? 60 years ago, that's double my lifetime as of right now, okay? I'm 30.
And they still talk about it.
And they still talk about it. And I think people of my generation.
I was 3, by the way.
You were, jeez.
I mean, think
Right,
about that.
it's been that long, right?
They talk about that
as if it happened
as if
yesterday.
it happened yesterday.
There are a lot of people, I think, of my generation that are trying to not be like their fathers, which is the always ripping this player, always trying to find the next new thing. This guy stinks, that guy stinks. And I don't know if that's generational. I don't know if that's post-Super Bowl. I don't know if that's the fact that we have seen a lot of success. Connor and I are very fortunate that we've seen a ton of success.
And I think that's exactly what it is. As I've said, you guys have eaten filet mignon a hell of a lot more than I ever did as a kid.
Yeah, you were eating Salisbury steak.
Oh, we were eating the hungry man dinners.
Damn right.
In the tin foil in the oven, which probably ended up, killing half of us. We lived a much different sports life.
Right.
So even in my generation, I didn't want to be like my dad's generation as sports fans.
Which is
now,
interesting.
And now I look at Livs at 20, and I look at her, and I go, my God, you're spoiled.
Right, we have
compared to it.
been.
So, and I think the more you're spoiled, the more that potentially changes your, we love these guys. We don't want to rip them. We don't want to ever say anything bad. And everything now is, if you criticize, you're killing someone.
You're a hater.
If you do this, you hate this player. It is completely changed. This town, completely changed.
Yeah, and it's amazing. So here's what we ask of you today. It's 610-632-0975. You can either call in or you can text in. You can send in an email or a tweet, because I think this is going to be an interesting conversation that might take more than a few words, might take more than a few characters. How much have you changed yourself as a sports fan, or how much are you different from a different generation? Like, I've changed because going to Phillies games with my dad growing up, we booed everybody. I learned the word bum at Citizens Bank Park and Veterans Stadium, right?
Your dad taught you to boo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big time. Hold the to a high standard. It doesn't matter who it is, right?
Your own players, or was it more heckle the other team?
Oh, heckle the other team. But,
okay.
But damn it. No. But
okay.
damn it, if you ground into a 4-6-3 double play, you're hearing it when you're walking back to the dugout. Like, my dad is a booer. Still is a booer. I took him to a Phillies game a few years ago. Diamond Club seats. I wanted to treat him to Father's Day, right?
I remember when you did that trip.
And Mickey Moniak was playing for the Phillies that day. And Mickey Moniak went like 0 for 4. And my dad starts screaming, I could do that too, you know.
Well, he could.
He could. My dad could go 0 for 4 in a baseball game, right?
You absolutely could.
And that's who he is. And I know that there's a lot of people like my father. And I know that when I go to a game, I usually keep my mouth shut. But I don't know if it's because of work. I don't know if that's changed me. But I know that I am different than how I was as a kid, because I was also under my dad's arm at all times at the Phillies game, learning how to boo, learning how to treat your players. And I don't necessarily think that is a good way of approaching things. But I agree with you that we've also gone too far of being too soft and everything is okay.
Now, I'm not a booer as far as individuals. So if I'll be going down the Phillies tomorrow night, taking the family
That's
down
right.
tomorrow night. I will not boo if somebody goes 0 for 3 or somebody makes an error.
Right.
I'm not a booer. I will boo a collective effort, though.
Okay.
I have booed when I've been in the stands. I have booed a team walking off the field at halftime at an Eagles game.
Okay.
The effort that we saw. I may have done it last year against the 49ers at halftime. That game sitting in the
deservedly
stand.
so.
I do not tend to boo individual, but I do tend to boo group performance.
Okay.
But I don't tend to be a booer in general.
Right.
And part of it is my job.
But yeah, I think that's a big part of it now.
Part of it is, but I never was a big booer.
See, I was.
wasn't.
As a kid, I was an ass.
Now a little bit of a heckler, if you had the chance to heckle. Our season tickets, I had a group season tickets in '93, were right over the outfield wall in left field. So we were right over the left fielder's shoulder.
Right.
First row.
Oh, that's
how
awesome.
good. And
You'd heckle the whole game.
Oh, yeah, you could heckle. We did that 92, 93, 94 maybe.
That's awesome.
And you'd heckle the opposing team sometimes, but not constant riding.
Right.
But still a little heckling.
So I want to know, where are you as a fan? Are you – it's just like politics, right? It's left or right. That's what it basically is. It's either Negadelphia or everything sunshines and rainbows. There's not many people in the middle, it seems.
No, it doesn't.
So which side are you on? And if you believe that you are in the middle, I commend you for that, because I think that is probably a good place to be. It's okay to show probably more love than what your generation used to.
Yes.
But I also think there are too many people nowadays that are doing nothing but love and not holding players to a certain standard, like their best player of the Phillies, who doesn't run down the first baseline. And everybody says, it's okay, it's just a day in May. Whereas 20 years ago, if somebody did that on the Phillies, that person would be crushed. Now, were they overly crushed? I don't know. I mean, I made the joke before the show today. You would have thought Ryan Howard struck out 300 times a season, the way people talked about Ryan Howard.
The weird thing is, too, is that I've heard, and I love the weekend. I feel bad for Tom McCarthy. Those weekends, the alumni weekend, when he has to do the round table broadcasts. Right. Tom is like herding cats.
Right.
Trying to call a game. But I've heard guys like Jimmy Rollins. I've heard guys like Mike Schmidt saying that it pushed them to greatness. They felt like sometimes F you to the fans.
Right.
I'm going to show you that it helped push them to where they got. So both of those players have talked about how the fans at times were a detriment.
Right.
But also how, in a way, it was just what they needed.
But you know what's
to spur them
fascinating?
on. I can't understand that. Hating on your own player, negative reinforcement of your own players, I've never understood it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't believe that's. I don't believe that.
But this team now is getting positive reinforcement, and they've been to a World Series and an NLCS. So, like, is there a formula? Like, Connor, you're more of a everybody's beautiful kind of guy.
Yes.
Closer to that, yeah.
Like, I don't know. Is there a fine line? Is one side better than the other? I mean, I know we mocked the Trey Turner thing. Ultimately it worked. I mean,
it worked. It worked for 7 weeks.
It did, and it worked because he's a $300 million former All-Star. Like, it's not like he stunk. It's not like he's a bad baseball player. So, but it was fitting that they do that, and the next day he hits the home run and he goes on the tear for a 7-week tear. Is a 7-week tear, right? So I don't know. Like, is there a better side to be on?
Absolutely, there is right now. And the teams determine the better side to be on. When the teams are better, the positivity to a fault side is better. Because, like, imagine this. When we talk about we're having filet mignon, you know what I love over a great steak dinner? Somebody sitting across the table telling me that steak isn't actually as good as it tastes. That's fun for everyone, right? Like, no, we have it good. Allow us to enjoy what's good. At some point, maybe even to a fault. And guess what?
Yeah, but I'm not saying don't enjoy it. Like, me calling out Bryce Harper yesterday is not saying, hey, don't enjoy the Phillies because Bryce Harper didn't run down the first baseline.
And you say allow us.
Yes.
Nobody else's fandom affects mine. Like, allow me to enjoy something?
Right.
Or allow me? I don't in any way. Your opinion on the Phillies doesn't affect my enjoyment of it. The guy who sits the guy who will sit 2 rows behind me tomorrow night at the game doesn't affect my fandom or enjoyment of it.
I think a lot of people it does. Because when you're on social media or when you're talking to people in public and people are asking you negative questions about the Phillies, you get tired of it. You're like, I just want to watch this team and enjoy them be great, rather than hear everyone say Nick Castellanos stinks.
Right.
Or Garrett Stubbs is not a good enough backup catcher. And I'm not picking on you, John, but I'm just...
But here's the deal, Connor. Isn't it okay to say, hey, I'm worried about Nick Castellanos? Is there a way to improve this team?
Yes.
Like, look, we've been talking about Jazz Chisholm since Monday, right? I still would like the Phillies to make the trade, despite their incredible record and the fun that I'm having this season watching the team. But I can point out, hey, I still think that Rojas or Pache is a weakness on this team.
Yes. Or that this year they may not be ready right now to help this team do what we need them to do.
That's not me trying to take away your enjoyment or me being a hater.
It's not you. It's what that thought process represents. Not a lot of this fan base has the nuance to make that conversation where it doesn't go too far.
I think
that might be true.
Well, the one thing is that Connor says again, and it makes a great point, is the social media aspect is something that I don't grasp it. Like, I enjoy social media. I've been a part of it. I was an early adopter of it. But someone else's fandom, someone else's thing, does not affect my thought process.
Yeah, but
I'm also stuck in my thought process. It's very hard to move me. So maybe that's just me. But I don't get influenced by, oh my gosh, people are talking negative about.
But it might not change your thought process, but it might weigh on you. You and I both know somebody who is always negative.
Yes.
And it's draining.
No,
And
it is.
We have
It
talked
is.
about it, how
is.
it's like, man, that guy's always negative. The Phillies could be 50-0, but it's, man, how come they're not 51-0 even though they've only played 50 games? Like, there are some people, and it ends up being draining. It might not affect your opinion.
But it can exhaust you.
Right.
The one thing, and that plays to Connor's point, the one thing I would say is that I find just as exhausting the fan who cannot accept any critique
I agree.
of the team that they think. They don't want to hear the obvious part of sports, part of what we have a job, is because we get to debate, discuss,
Yes.
and kick around all the issues of these teams. And when I was growing up, this format didn't exist. It only existed as sports shows at night.
Right.
It didn't exist as all day long. To me, the fan that can't accept any logical debate, discussion about their favorite player, their favorite team, I find them just as exhausting as that ultra negative.
Yeah, all right, it's interesting. So we would love to hear from you. 610-632-0975. Like, how are you as a Philadelphia sports fan? How have you changed? Are you trying to, in your mind, be better than the generation before you? And the reason why we even have this conversation is because John is currently obsessed.
I'm obsessed.
Obsessed. And I actually really appreciate it because I'm going back to Lithuania in a month.
Right.
I have photos still on my phone of my dad's great-grandparents' gravestone that I found like when we were out there.
So you then can go and try to search it out?
Yeah, so
That's what
I appreciate you're all obsessed about the Ancestry.com right now.
Yeah, I'm going through Ancestry because next month, was it next month? Yeah, next month. No, in July. We're gonna go down to Front Royal, Virginia.
Okay.
We're gonna go down there, go to like Luray Caverns, Shenandoah National Park, and everything. But I want to go see this city where this Virginia town where my grandfather, my great-grandfather, and my great-great-grandfather are born.
That's awesome.
And by the way, buried.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I have now, through Ancestry, gotten pictures of all of their gravestones.
Right.
So I can go find them. What I found out is I've got relatives in Delco that I didn't even know about.
Right.
And there are family names that I've heard that I go, I know I've heard this family
I'm
name
related to
around
them.
Delco, that now by doing this, I'm going, am I related to these people?
Right.
I didn't even know that my great-grandfather, my great-great-grandmother are buried over at St. Dennis's.
Right.
Over in Harrington.
Yeah, not far.
Where my dad's buried.
Right.
And I never knew that their gravestones were somewhere over there.
Right.
So I've gotten obsessed with understanding lineage, and honestly, sports fans lineage is a big part of it.
Well,
You
that's
just
the
talked
thing.
about it with your dad.
Right. Everything turns into sports, and you realize something, or your wife pointed it out.
That my grandfather was obsessed with the Phillies, listened on the radio to them, and he taught my dad to be a Phillies fan.
Right.
My dad, the Phillies were number one. Number one for him, and it wasn't close.
Mm-hmm.
He was absolutely obsessed. But then I looked and said, well, my great-grandfather came to Philadelphia and came here on a boat called the Czar.
Right.
And I can see the boat. I can see it. And I'm like, well, he was here in 1883. He must have been a Phillies fan.
He could have
I
been.
mean, if he could have been.
Your
Did
great-grandfather or great-great?
My great-great-grandfather. So I'm like, did he teach the Kincades how to be Phillies fans?
Right. It's
Like, where did it start?
amazing.
Where did it start?
So
And
that's
where does it
another
go?
thing we want to do today. We want you to, think about your lineage. Where does your Philadelphia sports fandom begin? And
are you like your dad?
right?
You know,
Well, yeah, and that kind of goes back to our main topic. But I told you I'm a second generation Philadelphia fan.
Your dad
Is the only one.
He's the first one,
Yeah.
and so he taught you how to be a Phillies fan.
Yeah, because my grandparents, off the boat Lithuanians, worked every second of every day to make money, to raise a family.
They didn't have the same lifestyle.
They didn't have time to watch the Phillies or the Sixers or the Eagles or the Flyers. So my dad learned everything on his own. He didn't have an older brother either. He had 3 older sisters, and there's a big age gap. So it's like my dad started the Salciunas family sports tree. That's wild to think about. Like, I'm only second generation
that's wild
Philadelphia
to me.
sports fan.
That is
And I
absolutely.
didn't think about this until you brought it up the other day.
And you look at your, like, I've pulled a fan with you. I've gone back to I found one side of the family back to 10 great-grandparents.
That's awesome.
And 9 on the other side. One of them was beheaded. And Bob Cooney says, for talking too much?
Yeah, that was a great line by Bob yesterday.
And I said, yes, he spoke out against the king.
So try to think about your Philadelphia sports family tree. I'm just second generation, man. John's going back to the 1880s.
No, I can go back to the 1500s now.
Well, I'm saying as a Philadelphia sports fan.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Connor, I want to get yours. Think about it during the break. Would love to hear from you. 610-632-0975. It's a Fanatic Friday. It's a lighter day. We got questions from the hat.
Oh, yeah, hat question.
And coming up next, Hall of Famer Jason Stark was on the Best Show Ever a couple days ago, and he gave a message that you all need to hear about the fighting Phils. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. on this Fanatic Payday Friday, 97.5 The Fanatic. So, interesting topic to start the show today. And we're doing the family tree, your Philadelphia sports family tree. John's all about Ancestry.com right now, which I think is really cool.
During the free month.
And
I was looking for gravestones. That's honestly why I did it, because I knew we were making this trip down to Virginia, and I wanted to make sure I could find these people's gravestones.
And that's awesome.
I didn't know that I have great-grandparents and stuff like that have gravestones right over in Havertown that I never knew.
Right.
Like, I don't even know my own family history on some on my mom's side, some on my dad's side.
So it's amazing.
It's incredible.
So what we're doing today is we're trying to figure out, and we would love to hear from you, where your Philadelphia family tree begins. When John brought this up, he talked about how his great-grandfather got here in the 1883 was when he got here, he said, or around then?
It was 1874.
All right, 1874.
The Kincades came to Philly. William came in 1874 on a boat called the Czar.
On the Czar. It's awesome.
And I actually have a picture of the boat.
Oh, that's cool.
And his passageway, he was set to go to New York, but he got off in Philly.
Right.
So I wonder, did he meet this Anna Patterson?
Could be.
Who was my great-grandmother. Did he meet her on the boat?
Maybe.
Like, it's crazy.
It's fascinating. So, of course, we can always turn things into sports talk.
Yes,
so
exactly.
John's realizing that his great-grandfather may have been the first of the Kincade family Philadelphia sports fan tree. I told you guys, my dad is first. My parents are first generation. Both parents, first generation, born and raised in Philadelphia and, in the United States. And so I'm a second-generation sports fan. Connor, where are you at? Because I know you have Minnesota ties.
Well, no Minnesota ties. My mom just picked a side. My brother's an idiot, so he took after. I'm second.
A mama's boy. Your brother is a big mama's boy.
Yeah, I call him
we've
that all the
established
time.
that.
We're both second generation fans. Like, my dad became a Philadelphia sports fan down in Florida because he was around when the Buccaneers were first founded and they stunk.
Okay.
So he's like, I like the Eagles, and I like those jerseys. And then we just happened, because he was in the Air Force, he got stationed up here when I was 3.
Right.
And we ended up being in the area, which was convenient. But so he's the only other one in my whole family.
I could honestly make the case that you are first generation.
Nah.
When did he start becoming a Philadelphia sports fan?
Like 16 years old.
Okay.
So he got into it young.
He got into it young. Okay, it makes sense.
And by the way, have you seen Connor's dad?
No.
Well, he could beat the hell out of you with one
He's
arm.
6'7".
Yeah.
So I mean, like, let's
I don't think I'm
let's
bad mouthing.
Let's just say Connor's dad is the first
All right,
one.
Connor's dad's the first generation.
I have great respect for Connor's dad.
So what is your Philadelphia sports fandom family tree? We'd love to hear from you, 610-632-0975. And this jumps off of our main topic today, which is how you are as a sports fan, how you may have changed, or how you may just be trying to be different from your parents, right? I don't think I try to be different than my dad. I think I just I think I more so changed. I don't want to say grow up, because I don't want to be disrespectful to my father. But my dad still acts the same way as a Philadelphia sports fan as he has, I think, his entire life. Whereas I have changed a little bit. I do think the job is a part of that, and I do also think that the Super Bowl changed me. Right? Everybody had that moment. Yeah.
When did your mom and dad came? What age?
They were born here.
Okay, they're born here.
Yeah.
So their parents brought them.
Yes.
Okay, to this country. So they created a life here. So your grandparents.
Yes.
Were the first ones. Me and being married, Christina came to this country at 10.
Right.
So she is a first for her, she's the first. She doesn't understand being Jamaican. She does not understand the fandom till she lived here.
Right.
She was married to somebody that was a Philly sports fan, but she didn't get it till the last few years when she's lived here.
Right.
And now she's getting sucked in.
Yeah, because she's here now, yeah.
And I wonder with your father, I wonder with your grandfather. Your grandfather's probably so hardworking that having to do that and everything. Your father got taught by people. Your father got osmosis.
Oh, I'm sure somebody
the guys
did, yeah.
he hung around with.
Yeah.
That influenced him then. I know this. I never wanted to be a sports fan like my dad.
Right.
Because my dad took losses hard.
Was
not.
he critical of every player?
My dad was a pretty lighthearted guy, believe it or not, like very lighthearted. But he took losses hard.
Okay.
Like you knew when the Eagles lost Sunday night at dinner. And I swore.
Yeah, but I think
swore
I think that's a lot of generations.
Yeah, but
that's me now.
Whoa,
man.
I swore as a family that when I got married and with my child, we do not in our house stomp around after bad losses.
Stop
We
it.
do not. We do not. We do not.
Cooper learned how to stomp last football
We
season.
do not. Like we do not have dinner. Like Sunday dinner is going to be miserable because the Eagles lost.
Nah, if you don't do that, you're not eating in my household. You got to be pissed off.
You're no son of mine.
The thing is, I remember that. I remember tense dinners because Dad was just not going to talk. And Dad was sort of, you'd hear the clank of the
right.
It just wasn't going to be good.
Yeah, but I'm like that with the Eagles. I'm just not like that with the Phillies.
You cannot consume baseball.
No,
like
but
football.
my dad is like that, and I'm sure a lot
Really?
of people of his generation are like that. It's different for you because you do sports talk radio.
Right, exactly.
You would burn out 3
Oh, my gosh.
games into a season if the
You'd be
Phillies
done.
started 0-3. But as the guy that works hard all day at the computer, at the desk, in the office, in the construction field, they get home, all they want to do is sip a
All
cold
they want,
beer
right,
and watch the Phillies, and then the Phillies lose, their day's over. Or Bryce Harper doesn't hustle down the first baseline, and they go, wait, I busted my ass at work all day today to watch this guy not run down the first baseline? It's crazy how much things have changed because I know that my dad would probably freak out about the Bryce Harper thing the other day, but I know how many people are like Connor, and I think a lot of it is the younger – I mean, I can't say the younger generation because it's my generation too, but there are a lot of people of our age that are like, it's whatever. It's May 29th.
Yeah. That's kind of where we're at. But, dude, it's not just the generation. Like, I don't think that in other cities, younger fan bases generally skew this way. I think it's because all the teams have been pretty darn good for like a large stretch of our life.
Yeah, that could have helped.
And it's like, what do we have to complain about?
But you know what? It's also funny. I'm different, and I know this. When the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I was upset with the start of the next year.
You were so Falcons game.
Yes.
Okay, Falcons game. You were literally upset at halftime of that game when they weren't.
You know why?
Why?
Because I'm one of those people that has, once you try a bit of the steak, you want the whole thing.
Oh, sure.
That's me. Like, I wanted more. I want a dynasty. Like, I did not, obviously when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I celebrated just like everybody else. The second kickoff start happened of the next season, I wanted it again. Like, I want dynasties. One is not good enough for me. And maybe that's because I'm a millennial. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I want dynasties. I don't think that's greedy, like wanting your teams to win.
I love that you have that, though.
I was upset.
But I don't love that, though.
I wanted to trade Nick Foles during the offseason.
Well, I did, too.
There was the report, I remember it was Mike Silver, ended up not being true, but Mike Silver said that the Browns were offering a second-round pick for Nick Foles. I said, you're never going to get anything better than this.
And I would have traded him,
I would have done it in a heartbeat. And I remember doing a show on the weekend, and I was getting eviscerated for it because I wanted to trade BDN.
It is to me. I remember so I came up and brought my show up here so I could be here for the opening game, Falcons-Eagles.
Yes.
And D. Orlando Ledbetter, who just got elected the Hall of Fame yesterday.
Oh, that's
the thing.
awesome.
So,
I've had him on the show before.
Well, D-Led's a great guy. D-Led sitting next to me, and I remember D-Led taking the video of me. So I'm sitting with the Atlanta contingent in the first row of the press box looking out as that rain delay happened that night.
Yeah.
And watching that banner covered up, seeing the banner covered up with the curtain on it, I had tears in my eyes.
I'm sure you did.
And when that banner when they took it down and I could see that banner, I had tears in my eyes.
That's awesome.
And the Atlanta contingent was like, Kincade's crying.
He's crying.
Kincade's crying. And just tears in my eyes, just like I was overwhelmed. It was so awesome.
Of course you were.
So I feel like my life changed as a fan forever.
Right.
As far as I'm never going to be as critical, as anxious as
I am, baby.
after that moment. And I love,
man.
you know what though? I love your attitude better than mine.
Okay.
I love your attitude better than mine.
How about
I love
that?
your attitude because to me, I feel like, damn, I never thought I'd see it. I saw it, and it changed me. It definitely made me softer. Like, I don't take losses as
But
hard.
I would say
I'll take it.
not as soft as a lot of other people.
No, absolutely.
There are people
No
even
question.
softer. So how
Sure.
are you as a sports fan? How have you changed? We would love to hear from you. 610-632-0975. It's a lighter Friday today. And where does your Philadelphia sports fandom begin? On the family tree, your family tree. Connor and I are both second generation. Let's go to Kenny in Mayfair. Kenny, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, guys, how are you? Good
What's
morning.
up,
buddy?
Kenny?
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for picking my daughter as one of the winners of the Avello Airlines.
Oh, absolutely, Kenny, of course.
Yeah, it was Jessica, so thank you
Oh,
so
that's
much.
awesome. Hope she has a great time.
Anyway, born and raised in South Philly, being Italian, my grandparents, they just about would talk English, so they had no interest in sports. But my dad, I remember in the early 60s, we used to go up to Connie Mack Stadium, and I remember the Phillies, they were terrible. They were 47 and 107. Gene Mock was the manager, and then they turned it around, 62. I mean, we would boo. My dad, his gang was boo.
So they were booers. So did
Oh,
you
my
you continue that or did you change?
No, I continued it.
Okay.
I continued it, but back then, I'm talking about the receivers, Tony Taylor, Don Demeter had 29 home runs. He was a star. But now I continue to boo, but my kids, they won't boo at all.
Right.
They're in their 40s.
It's amazing how it's changed, Kenny, and we appreciate the call.
Yeah, they don't want to. They don't want to boo.
Like I I had a tweet yesterday. I gotta try to find this. It's the person's there you go.
Go on.
So the name is Joe.
Okay.
Bio, retired,
Oh, I love that.
Lyft driver,
Good.
likes the Sixers, Duke basketball, and Michigan football.
What? What?
Loves sports writers that are objective and not ass kissers. This is an incredible Twitter bio, right?
That's a great bio.
So
but
this guy, I'm just going to guess is not like 40 or 50 years old if
No.
he's saying that he's retired and you hear that bio. He responded to my story about Bryce Harper not hustling down the first baseline. The morons that are defending Harper for not running yesterday don't realize that that's a normal thing for him. He does not hustle on every play every day, and that's why he's nothing but an overpriced prima donna.
Ah, jeez. See, that's what you know. What though? That does speak to. I hear that. Like Connor, if I hear that comment, I think 70 and above.
Right.
From Philadelphia. On Philadelphia Fandom, I think 70 and above.
Well, I know somebody that's below 70, early 60s, that has that opinion. I would say that's my father's range. It's just not it's not my dad. Like, I don't want to be that. Right? Like,
I don't want you to be
I'm
either.
trying to be in the middle ground where I can be critical and I can also love all my players, right? Oh, Bryce Harper's a prima donna. Like, come on. Like, that's
I do not want- I
That is
don't
a
want-
ridiculous thing to say. Oh, these players get paid too much.
You know what I'm going to say is that as hard as he plays, that's the last thing I would say about Bryce Harper.
It's amazing.
Like, that's the last thing I would say. And his clutch moments, that just is intoxicating.
He's been worth every penny, man.
And it's intoxicating.
But that's a generational thing. So how are you as a Philadelphia sports fan? How have you changed from just in your life, but also compared to the generations above you? I don't think I'm much like my father when it comes to watching sports. I have some things that I relate to, but there's a lot of things where I was pro process. He was not, right? Like I think
he was a smart man.
I think that was a big generational thing as well. So we continue the conversation. Jason Stark, Hall of Famer Jason Stark, tells you to enjoy the ride. You'll hear that coming up next. Also, questions out of the hat on a Fanatic Friday. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Tyrone Johnson.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't demand more. Ricky and I demanded 100.
On this Fanatic Friday, presented by Pumpman Philly for 24/7 emergency repair or pump replacement. Count on Pumpman Philly, the guys to know to fix your flow. You climb in on the phone line or the text line, 610-632-0975. How are you as a Philadelphia sports fan? How much have you changed? How much are you trying to just not be like the generation that raised you? What's interesting is, how is Cooper's generation going to be?
Oh, they could be super soft.
Well, I think we're super soft. My generation's super soft.
I don't think you're super soft. No.
I'm not, but I know people that I'm friends with that are super soft, that the teams could do no wrong.
Well, I can tell you yesterday's conversation and some of the feedback on Bryce Harper. Yes, that is baby poop soft. That is baby poop soft. Oh, my gosh, you criticize Bryce Harper? Oh, my gosh, he can do what he wants.
Yeah, we already got a we're trying to run him out of town tweet.
Not hustling.
I'm not trying to run Bryce Harper out of town.
No, we would actually drive him to work. Not hustling has never been acceptable in Philadelphia.
Right.
Now, maybe it's a generational thing where now it is.
And that could be
if I heard that stupid load management argument about, well, if Chase Utley had not run out the ball as hard, that's what people say. They do. I got it yesterday. I got an email from a gentleman yesterday. We had a nice exchange. It was not a nice exchange when he emailed me.
Of course.
By the end, we had a very nice exchange.
That's usually how it goes.
And he was like, okay, well, then you're being reasonable. I said, not hustling in this town has never been acceptable.
Right.
Any inning, any time, or otherwise. So it's just a disconnect. It is fun, though. It is fun to hear people's different
And where does it start? Because we're also trying to figure out what your Philadelphia family tree is. I'm second generation. You could be fifth for all we know.
I could be, and I'm wondering too, if your name's Patterson this morning,
you're related.
Like there are Pattersons around Delco and everything like that. I may be related to you.
You could be.
I found out my great grandmother was a Patterson.
So how about this? Our man Sam from England is checked in.
Oh, what's Sam?
Listen to the show. Good afternoon,
Good
Sam.
afternoon, Sam.
Sam says, I'm first generation. My kids who are named after Sixers players are second generation.
He's got Joel, right?
Yes. And the similarities between Philly sports and soccer hooligans made him love Philly even more. So, of course, I boo, yet I love the players. And I think that is the middle ground. It's booing at the right time, but it's always having the team's back.
Right. And
I think that's the right formula to have.
That's the thing. Like, I wanted Nick Sirianni to lose his damn job after the Eagles season. I want Tobias Harris to never step foot on a court wearing a Sixers jersey again. Like, when guys deserve it, I can be hard on players and coaches and teams. But here's the thing, right? We say we're being too soft on Bryce Harper if you're not expecting the hustle. Why should we be hard against Bryce Harper?
Hustle should be expected.
No,
hustle should be at 25 to 30 million a year.
I understand.
Hustle should be an absolute minimum.
And again,
I got
situationally.
I got you. But like, if he is not the guy that deserves leeway, who in the world is going to play in this city that does?
I've been hearing that my whole life. And look at this Phillies roster. The Sixers always have stars coming to Philadelphia. The Eagles, they sign everybody. Like that narrative, I think, is bogus.
So Jim Gardner, who was the greatest legend in this town in media, is Jim Gardner in a later. Jim Gardner was the GOAT for 40 years. Yeah, Jim Gardner just mailed it in one day a week. Yeah, I'm not going to do my research on that story. I'm going to just not give my best tonight. But 4 nights a week, I will.
Right,
but I'm not tonight. It would in no walk of life, Connor, should it be accepted.
I know, but Bryce Harper isn't mailing it in one night a week. He mailed it in one night a year.
It's not. You're telling me that's the only ball you've ever seen him not run hard to first?
That's the only one we're talking about.
No,
I don't know. It's never been a conversation.
Because in this
it
situation,
cost a run in a tight
and look,
game.
we don't have to dive deep back into that the conversation, but it shows. This conversation shows how generations can be different, or it doesn't have to be generation because you and I don't agree, and we're the same age, Connor. It's just who we are. I don't know if it's lineage. I don't know if it's just who we are as a fan.
Could your reaction to this story be because you were raised by your dad? What about your dad, Connor?
Yeah, I think we need
laid back. Your dad seems laid back.
So what we need to do is we need to go back, and Andrew's dad needs to raise me for a couple years, and then we just. No, my dad was never overly critical.
Your dad
he
seems
wasn't.
laid back.
My dad was the quickest to boo. every time.
My dad will boo when it's warranted.
No, my dad was the quickest. So that might be why you and I are
that
still
could be-
slightly different. Even though I think I'm more like you, Connor, than I am my father when it comes to fandom.
And
You
is it-
still have a bit of
I
him.
still have a bit of that deep down inside me, man.
Yeah.
I can't help myself.
Is it nature nurture? Like, do you think it's in you, or do you think you were taught it? Like, do you think it's in you or taught? Connor is and I'll say something nice. Connor's a very sweet, caring. I think Connor cares about people.
Right.
I think Connor would care about somebody in the street that he doesn't know. He's a kind person. I don't know if that's just not in the DNA. That as a fan, he's just very, very kind and very. He's
It depends
a
if
sweet guy.
that person's hustling or not.
right?
No, you accept anything. You accept everybody for who they are.
Yes, I try and be.
Which is great.
Naturally, that's kind of my
No, it's
default.
great. Is that my wife believes everybody's out to screw her.
Right.
I believe I get fooled. I assume everybody's good. And then I get screwed.
It's interesting. Yeah, I mean,
get screwed.
that's
but
how
it's
we're all
genetics.
different.
But I think it's genetics.
Yeah.
Like you don't know. And as a fan, do you expect the building to fall on you tonight? Or do you expect the Phillies to always do you
to win.
like
Every
right
time
now,
I go, I'm expecting to win. Every time I go to a game, I expect to win.
there are huge Phillies fans who probably expect this season to end in disaster
Yeah,
because this is too good.
we hear it every single day.
Or there's ones who are already planning the parade.
That's why, coming up next, I promise, right out the gate, you'll hear from Jason Stark. Because Jason Stark, Hall of Fame Jason Stark,
He's a man.
who not just covers the Phillies, he covers Major League Baseball. He kind of knows the ebbs and flows of
He
a
does.
baseball
I think he
season.
knows a
Yeah.
little bit
I think he
about
does a pretty good job with it. Hall of Fame Jason Stark. He gave a message to Phillies fans 2 days ago on the best show ever. We start the 7 o'clock hour with that message. And the question is, are you enjoying the ride? It's Kincade and Salciunas on a Fanatic Friday, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A showdown was.
on this Fanatic Payday Friday. Always helps a little bit early in the morning on a Payday Friday. Presented by Pumpman Philly for 24/7 emergency repair, pump replacement. Count on Pumpman Philly, the guys that know to fix your flow. We're going to reset the entire show. I just want to let you know, here's everything that we have coming your way today. Matt Gelb of The Athletic does a tremendous job covering the Phillies. He'll be joining us today at 8:10. And we have some sound that we got to play from OTAs yesterday. Jordan Davis and Nolan Smith spoke to the media. Tim McManus was on with the best show ever yesterday. So a lot of good Eagles talk still to come. But what we're starting the show off with today is how you may have changed as a sports fan, or who you are as a sports fan. Are you like the generation before you? Are you trying to be different than the generation before you? How are you as a sports fan? Do certain things bother you, like not hustling to first base when there's a runner on third base and the throw was offline, and if you're safe, the run scores? Some people go, don't worry about it. Some people go, that can't happen, right? It's interesting how we all have a different opinion, and that's what you talked about at the beginning of Sports Talk Radio.
Yes.
Or now that it's debate-driven, there's constant debate. Nobody ever sees eye to eye. Angel Hernandez retiring is the only time I've actually seen an entire...
A unifying topic?
Right. It's amazing.
There were days where a host in this market, any one of a number of hosts, some of the legendary names, could open up the mics with a destruction of a Phillies, Eagles, Sixers player, Flyers player for one incident, and they would have gotten no pushback.
Right.
For 4 hours. And, by the way, for 12 hours, because it would have gone on to the next show and the next show and the next show. It is completely different today. And, by the way, and in that regard, it is better. It's better.
Yeah.
It's better today.
Because we're not always just ripping people all the time, but I do think we may have gone a little bit too far. It's just like the political spectrum right now.
It's ridiculous.
It's one side or the other. So we would love to hear from you how you are as a sports fan, 610-632-0975. And one of those things of being a sports fan is enjoying the rides of a season. So Jason Stark joined the best show ever 2 days ago and gave a great message to Philadelphia Phillies fans that I think is very important, because I think a lot of people still need to hear it. Here's Jason Stark talking about enjoying the ride of this season.
The thing that blows me away the most is 15 straight series without losing any of them. That is how baseball works. Win that series that you're playing this week. And to do that 15 in a row, only one team in the history of this franchise had ever done that. That was the Whiz Kids in 1950. What did that team do? They went to the World Series. So if you look at the list of teams that sit there alongside this Phillies team, these are teams we remember. These are teams we talk about. These are teams we're talking about today, in some cases 50 years later. So enjoy that ride. You don't get to root for teams that put themselves on lists like that. But this team is now on it. Look, they got to finish the journey, but the first chapter of this journey was something to remember.
And by the way, and that was awesome. Like I love that quote from Jason Stark. Finishing the journey. The journey's not till October. Like that, finishing the journey. They're going to make the playoffs, right? Like it's happening. They're going to make the playoffs. That journey doesn't start till late September, October, and maybe into November. It's May right now. You should not think about October on May 31st.
It should not be something that you obsess on.
Right.
But now it's like, to me, the division is something you should obsess on.
I agree.
Right now, you wake up this morning, by the way, on the last day of May, 6.5 games up.
That's awesome.
On the Braves, who are just lost 3 out of 4 at home to the Nationals. And I can tell you Atlanta is burning.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
For the second time.
Yeah.
Atlanta is burning. And it's not, they're in disarray right now. There is a lot of discord and everything. This thing could get more comfortable.
Oh, it could be. And it's kind of goes.
And then you're obsessed on, do you get the number one seed?
The 1 seed, right.
Do you get to have the Dodgers come here if it comes to it? Do you get to have everybody come through Philadelphia for the whole postseason?
Right.
There's a lot of exciting things.
And this comes back to a topic that we did not too long ago about whether or not high expectations help or hurt your enjoyment. And I do think it hurts a lot of people's enjoyment of the season. But I think that's a beautiful message. I mean, he's right. The last time a team did something like this, winning 15 straight series, was the 1950 Whiz Kids. We still talk about Whitey. Right. We still talk about that Phillies team.
74 years.
Yeah, and
It's ridiculous.
43 years before I was born.
It's crazy.
And yet I know some of the history, not advanced. Like I can't do chapter and verse of the 1950 Phillies, but I know
Wow,
about
fake fan.
Yeah, exactly. But I know some talking
Bogus.
points of the 1950 Phillies because of this. So Cooper, even though he's only 2 years old and probably he's not catching on to anything that's going on with the Phillies, he'll know about this team. If this Phillies team does something special, he'll know about this Phillies team 28 years from now when he's 30 years old and he's talking about the 2024 Phillies.
How often do you hear people talk about the 93 Phillies?
All the time.
There are many people who talk about the 93 Phillies, and we've talked about on this show, more fondly than the 2008 Phillies.
Yeah, which is crazy to me.
I don't understand it.
But it's
the 2008 Phillies were such a better team.
Yes.
But the 93 team was a better maybe story. It was an exciting story. It was out of nowhere.
Right.
And everything like that. I know my mom would tell me when she was alive that the 1950 Phillies damaged the Whiz Kids, damaged my dad at 25 years old.
right. I'm sure it did.
It damaged my father permanently as a sports fan. It broke his heart being up 6.5 games and losing your last 10 in a row.
Yeah, that must be horrible.
That
must have been horrible.
That's
yeah.
like 28-3 in the Super Bowl.
Right, exactly.
That's like that kind of
Right.
loss. Because back then, you won, you went to the World Series. You went right to the World Series. There was no playoffs.
Right, exactly. There's
And-
no 5-game series, 7-game series,
And you're saying to
7-game
yourself,
series.
we're up 6.5. Connor, I can only imagine you peacocking around up 6.5 games with 10 to play, and just every single loss should be going, well,
Yeah.
this couldn't happen. It can't happen. It can't. And they lost on a steal of home, I believe, twice.
Oh, yeah, that must suck.
I'm surprised we're looking at the division already. Like, to me, I don't normally consider a
don't.
divisional race a thing until there's like 50 games left.
Okay, you're like Bob with that. Like Bob says Labor Day.
yeah, but I like looking at the
I
standings.
like
now.
looking
I'll
at-
look, but
Yeah.
I'm not like, oh, divisional stand, Braves drop a game here, Phil's win a game. Like,
I
there's
look at it-
100 games. You're going to drive yourself crazy.
No, you
by
are going to
doing
drive
that.
yourself crazy.
Not when you're up 6.5.
Right, but that's the
Looking
thing.
at it
when
is
they're
just
up,
pretty much pleasure.
when they're up 3.5 at some
Oh,
point, you're
then
going to
it-
lose your mind, and then they're still going to win the division by 6, and we could have
then that's
avoided
another
all
thing.
this.
All right, so John, I'll ask you because I think you enjoy the ride of a season.
I love the
But
ride.
if you're so caught up on the divisional race in May, right, you don't look at the standings until Memorial Day Monday.
And now I will
But
be.
now you're obsessed with it.
Now I will be obsessed with them, and I will be looking at then once I officially write off some of the teams in the division, I'll then start tracking the Dodgers.
All right, so
I'll
do
start
you
tracking.
enjoy the ride then?
I love it.
But what if the Phillies were down 6.5 games, which we have seen?
Oh, I would. Well, then I would be worried about. Okay, what's the postseason picture looking like?
Okay.
And then
I
and
would
watching-
still be enjoying the ride, even though they were down 6.5 games, because
I don't
there
enjoy
could be
it
that
as,
hot
I
stretch.
don't enjoy it as much. And remember
Of
too.
course, you don't enjoy it as
But
much.
remember, too, there is a lot of Braves Phillies to me that I just love. The last 2 years have been glorious for my
course-
soul.
of course
Because
they
I
have been.
just love being able to have hand over so many friends,
Right.
so many people that I know. I'd love nothing better than to see the division and see the Phillies dispel the myth that you could have the time off
Right.
and respond well to it.
So are you enjoying the ride the way Jason Stark says we should enjoy the ride, or are you still hesitant to enjoy the ride? Because I saw the Phillies drop 3 of 4, and people started getting concerned all of a sudden. We were talking about some of the flaws on the team, and I don't know if that's actually enjoying it or not. That could just be calling it out, right? Like you were just calling it out.
Sure.
I know you're still enjoying the ride, but I
Having
think
a
there are
thrill with
some people that are always manic. So are you actually enjoying the ride? Would love to hear from you, 610-632-0975. All right, what do we have on the text line, Connor? And then we got to pull our first question out of the hat because we're doing the new Fanatic Friday hat questions. But what do we got on the text line, Connor?
Yeah, Jay from Westchester checks in. He always
Okay.
says good morning. I always
What's up,
appreciate
Jay?
that
I
from
appreciate
Jay.
that.
He says, my father was a first-generation Phillies fan. He was very critical of all the Philadelphia teams to a fault. He was not a booer, but he jumped ship when he realized his team was making him mad. I'm censoring that a little bit. So I grew up a Red Sox and Patriots fan because of this.
No.
No.
Now, after entering my adult life, I realized my heart belonged to all of our Philly teams. And when he died, he told me he absolutely loved all his city teams. He just wasn't going to show them up. So he left the
Wow.
teams because he did not want to show them up by being critical of them.
That breaks me. That
So
breaks my
did
heart.
Is Jake now a Philadelphia sports
Jay
fan?
is a
Jay?
yeah. He came back in adulthood, realized he always loved
Okay.
these teams.
What-
that breaks my heart, though.
I wonder how old Jay is.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting one. What would you?
Jay
what
texts
would
us
you,
a lot. We can ask.
Okay,
him.
What would you?
yeah, ask
What
Jay.
would you?
Yeah.
What would you guess? I'm guessing 32.
So
No.
I was thinking 30s, early 40s. My question is, did he make the jump
Before the Super Bowl?
I'm guessing he's in his late 40s, early 50s.
Oh, you're guessing
And he
older.
made the jump in probably the early 2000s.
I just get nervous. See, look, I don't want to gatekeep. I got yelled at for it the other day.
But if you spend 20 some years as a fan in New England, I'm with you. Put up the walls. Put up the walls. If you as an adult male, were a Patriots fan, Red Sox fan, the walls are up.
I need to know what
Walls are up.
I need
to know
what 04, how old he was in 04, where his legacy lied in 04, and then where was the legacy in Super Bowl 52?
Yeah, I wanna know.
need that question answered.
Jay, text us back, please.
I just need that answer, because if you were booing McNabb and laughing at him when he threw up
yeah.
and celebrating the Lombardi.
And celebrating Red Sox World
Right.
Series the same year. I'm telling you, wouldn't like it.
I just need to,
I need to. No, I'm all for
just need to
gatekeeping.
know.
I'm all for
Need to
gatekeeping
know.
on this one.
All right, Connor, give us our first question out of the hat, and then coming up in a few minutes, I want to play you audio from Jordan Davis, because I think I'm obsessed with the storylines of Jordan Davis this year.
I love it.
But I want to play you some audio from Jordan Davis, how he talks about what his goal was heading into this season. But give us our first question out of the hat of discussions today.
All right, the first one. You're offered for free either a live-in chef, a driver, or a personal assistant.
You could have
Which
used a
do you
driver
choose
this
and
morning.
why? Yeah, Andrew needs a driver.
Yeah, my car did not start this morning.
So a chef, a driver, or what?
Personal assistant.
This is easy for me.
Yeah.
Chef.
Yep. Not even close.
Chef for me also.
And here's why. I saw a tweet the other day that absolutely hit hard. It took me an hour and a half to cook this meal to eat it in 20 minutes.
Dude, that's why I don't like I like cooking, but that's what drives me insane.
Like, I love grilling. I would not have my chef grill for me. Like, I enjoy that. That's also my me time, because Christy's afraid of Cooper being near the grill. So, like, I'm outside for 20 minutes by myself.
And you're having a
It's
blast.
freaking beautiful.
Like, Andy, you're making burgers for the seventh
yeah,
straight
yeah.
day. What's your deal?
Yeah, dude, I have a beer. I have the dog. I sit down. It's beautiful. But if I wanted to make a nice meal and it took you over an hour to make, and then you eat it in 20 minutes, and then, oh, by the way, you had to clean up all the mess.
Well, the
I would-
chef doesn't clean
All right,
up
fine.
after.
I would gladly clean up the mess, because
The
that would
maid,
take me 15
the maid
minutes.
would clean up.
No, but
the
I only
mess.
get one. Personal chef for me would be the easiest one.
Yeah, I don't need a
Or best
driver.
one.
I like driving, so
You enjoy driving, and you like driving shirtless.
yeah, sure. Sometimes it's hot and I'm sweaty. And the personal assistant, I don't really have that much to
Yeah,
assist
what do
with.
I-
My
what do
life
I
is
need?
pretty boring.
Yeah, I got the Google Calendar alerts telling me when to do Zoom
Yeah.
calls. I'm fine.
That question, by the way, was mine.
Oh, okay.
And I have heard people debate this one over and over again about
So,
what they would take.
Even though all three of us are on the same page.
and that's a God for me. There is, I knew Connor was not going to want the driver. I didn't know what you were going to want.
Chef, man.
The chef to me, but you love cooking so much.
I do like cooking, but if I could have an hour of my life, look, if a driver drives me to work, I still have to sit in traffic.
Thing is, though, driver drives you to work. A lot of the show prep that we walk in and do is done.
That's true. Yeah, but I do a lot. I'm thinking and
Yeah,
driving.
I know. I love driving. So I would never choose.
No,
to
I-
drive.
Also, how am I supposed to flip someone off if someone else is driving?
Damn
well, you
right.
can. You say, Jeeves,
It's
roll
not
down the
the
window.
same, no.
Jeeves.
And throw out the window. That's interesting though. I'm shocked that we're all on the same page with that one.
All right, we're gonna play this Jordan Davis audio in a second, but we got a text
He
back
wants
from
a
Jay.
chef, by the way.
We got a text back from Jay. What do we got?
So Jay says, I'm 29 years old.
Okay.
You cannot blame me for being a child and rooting for a winning organization.
When
was
did-
I'm
yeah, I can.
30.
Yes, I
I
can.
I'm
100
30.
I rooted-
I'm the same
I
age as
rooted
you.
100% for the Patriots, even when the Eagles beat them in 2017.
Well, then,
Oh, so he was still rooting Patriots.
wait a
Yes.
minute. He just changed to Phillies now?
Looks like it.
So he changed to Phillies at 28? No, Jay. We love you and we appreciate you being a part of our family, but you're outside the fence. No. No.
This is-
You're a grown man and you're rooting for winning teams. I can rip you for wanting to root for winning teams. Because you know what tasted better? The fact that all my life I put up with all the crap that I was served on Eagles Sundays. And 2018, February 4th, forever changed my life, cleansed me, and made me happy with that. You didn't feel that? No.
This is where we are just diametrically opposed as people. Because if I suffered to experience something, I do not need someone else to suffer the same to experience the same thing.
Yeah, they were literally rooting against you.
Now all of a sudden the Patriots no longer have Brady, so now he's an Eagles fan.
Yeah, now he's an Eagles fan because they don't have Brady? Stop. Right. By the way, if
Connor, I don't know, man.
No, I'm not defending this. I'm just saying that point of like John suffered through all the time with the Eagles. So if you didn't suffer through that,
yeah, I hope Cooper grows up and watches dynasties for all 4 teams. But that's not the way the life goes.
You don't just pick and choose. You don't just get to go, well, now the Patriots suck. Now the Red Sox are mediocre. So now I'm going to choose to root for the team where I actually live. And you live near me. You live near me, Jay.
Yeah, you guys are neighbors.
Jay,
you guys might have to meet up.
Jay, we got to meet up for a fine beer.
You have to vet them.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe breakfast at Market Street Grill, and you buy, and we'll decide, I'll decide whether he's in the gates.
Man,
that's incredible.
Jay.
Wow, I said 32, by the way. You said 29, right, Connor?
No, I said
what did you guess?
Late 40s,
no,
early 70s.
He is 29.
I guessed 32, and I'm right.
Oh, man, that's slimy, dude.
So what he did is he took all the fruit off the tree, and then once the tree bore no more fruit, now he moves on to the tree that has fruit. No.
All right, so Jordan Davis was at OTAs yesterday, and a lot has been talked about his shape because he looks great.
Oh, he looks great.
All the photos, he looks great.
It's unbelievable.
He looked great coming into last year's OTAs, like better than his rookie year, but he looks even better this year than he did this time last season. And Jordan Davis talked about how that's something that he really wanted to focus on during this past offseason.
Cutting out the juice and stuff. Yeah, but like stuff like that, just making minor changes to lifestyle, being more active in my lifestyle. If I have a day off, making sure I do something active, whether that's walking outside, getting into backpacking now. So, just going on little hikes and stuff like that, trying to be more one with nature and stuff like that. Just little stuff to get me outside. Don't want to be sedentary, don't want to sit inside all the time when I have free time. Know I should be doing something improving, whether that's watching film, doing stuff like that. If you're going to sit there and watch TV, watch 15 minutes of film before you start watching TV.
There's something beautiful about how big is Jordan Davis? Like 6'8", 3 something?
He is an absolute beast of a
being one of nature, like holding flowers.
What do you mean? There are bears out there.
No, guess what? The Bears are turning the other way when Jordan Davis comes down the path.
I think there's something beautiful in that, man.
I saw him as a freshman stepping onto campus at Athens.
Right.
And I remember asking a question of someone around the Georgia football program going, that is not real. Like, that man's not real.
Right.
And wait till you see how fast he is.
Yeah. He flies.
I'm looking at you, but he was like sort of doughy and big, and he looked like a little kid.
Now he's getting in NFL shape, man.
Oh my gosh, it is wonderful to see, and now you just got to perform.
And he did talk about how one of the concerns is, okay, you lost Fletcher Cox. So now Jordan Davis has to play more. Remember a couple of weeks ago, I asked whether or not it's fair or unfair to expect more out of my former first-round pick now that Fletcher Cox is no longer here. He said that he does expect to have a larger snap count this year.
Definitely. I'll be able to answer the call. I know it's required of me. I know Vic is leaning on me. I know the D-line's leaning on us. So I definitely think that I'll be able to handle it. That's what I'm working for. Nobody's coming to save us now. We got to put the load on our backs. That's coming from, me, Jalen Carter, Milton Williams, Marlon. It's just everybody. We got more that's expected of us, so we have to go out there and show it.
And so far, everybody's speaking highly of Vic Fangio, which is very, very exciting. I know Nolan Smith did. You'll hear that coming up next.
Well, as I said to you before, these guys, and they played for Kirby Smart.
Yeah.
Kirby Smart is a hell of a lot more like Vic Fangio
than Sean Desai.
Than he's Sean Desai.
Right.
Kirby Smart is F you, you son of a...
Right.
Like, hard coaching. These guys understand it, and they played in a tough league. They understand it.
So you'll hear from Nolan Smith coming up next talking about Vic Fangio, but also something I want to play for you. Because this might help me out. And I know I scared you with my biggest concern about the Eagles and the pass rush and how the pass rush makes the secondary better. Well, what if the secondary can make the pass rush better? Tim McManus was on the best show ever yesterday and talked about how good the secondary's looking so far. It's Kincade and Salciunas right here, 97.5 The Fanatic. Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Oh, here's your show sheet.
Very, very nice of you.
Well,
Very nice of you.
little delayed. If you're just tuning in,
You had a weird morning.
I had a weird morning. Car didn't start, and at 4:15 in the morning, that's makes things a little bit more difficult than if it was like 8 o'clock in the morning.
But Antoinette took care of you,
Yeah,
right?
she did. She picked me up. Thank you, Lyft driver Antoinette. Congratulations to your son who's graduating high school today. So a big day.
I think that's awesome.
But man, it was a pain in my rear end this morning. But anyways, so there's your show sheet. Everything's a little delayed.
Tristan points out, I bet Jay is still a Celtics fan, and he's probably still a Bruins fan.
Yeah, dude,
Come on.
Look, I want Jay to be happy and have a great, fulfilled life. But man, to be a Patriots and Red Sox fan basically his entire life and recently become an Eagles and Phillies fan when recently everything is looking up. And, oh, by the way, things are looking down for the Patriots and, I guess, sideways for the Red Sox.
So he has an explanation. He was always a Sixers fan. He does say that, like, straight up. And he says he grew up going to the vet as a child. The reason he flipped was because his dad made him think it was okay to do that. As soon as he realized, he came back.
Okay.
I think that's a fair explanation.
Okay. Look, you can say it's fair. You guys can be best friends.
I'm telling you, I can't. I am willing to have him buy me breakfast.
And talk about
He's
it.
buying you breakfast? Come on.
Well, he's the one looking for entry. Because
He's
I
the
got to
one
tell
listening.
you, we've put the wall up though. The wall is. I'm all for you being. I love the gatekeeper thing, and we are in complete unison on absolute unison.
That one's just interesting. He rooted against the Eagles in Super Bowl 52.
He rooted against them. Yes, I mean seriously, no.
7 years ago, he was still a Patriots fan.
Oh my God!
And then they win, and then
it's unbelievable.
Brady's no longer there. Belichick,
not allowed. Not allowed.
I find it very interesting.
Not welcome.
All right,
No.
so we'll pull another question out of the hat coming up in a little bit. But yesterday, Nolan Smith spoke to the media, and Tim McManus was on with the best show ever. So Nolan Smith, let me first play this. He talks about his love of old school coaches like Vic Fangio.
I love it. I come from coaches like that. Like a lot of people say the Bama family tree. No, it's the Georgia family tree now. So from the Georgia family tree, those tough coaches that want you to push a little bit extra, give me a little bit more, and I expect more from you. That's what I want you to expect more from me. And that's what Coach Walsh pushed me to that point. Like Coach Walsh expects a lot from me, and I expect a lot from myself. And Coach Walsh pushed me day in and day out that it ain't no problem to work for Coach Vic.
Now, I can't just sit here and say, wow, the defense is going to be really good because Nolan Smith likes Vic Fangio, right? I can't say that. It's going to be how these guys look. But I like that there's already players speaking fondly of Vic Fangio because of the horror stories you heard out of Miami because he coached them too hard. He was too hard of a coach for the defense on the Miami Dolphins, which is ridiculous. But Tim McManus joined the best show ever yesterday and talked about how good some of the members of the secondary are looking. Well, let's start with Isaiah Rodgers because this is an interesting storyline to pay attention to.
It's a very important
Guy
one.
hasn't been in the league for a while because of the gambling issue. He's back in the league, and he himself talked yesterday, said he feels great. He realized that, that his time away from football, how much he missed it, how much he loved it. He was always ready to come back whenever that time came, which is great. And Tim McManus said he's looking pretty good out there.
I think the other guy that I would have to point to is Isaiah Rodgers. Not that I have a big reference point for what he's looked like in the past, but the fact that he hasn't played football in a long time, you just don't know what to expect as he's getting reacclimated to the game. I'll tell you what, he looked good. He was running with the first team, had an interception of Hurts, probably the play of the day, and doesn't look, at least in this setting, like he's missed a beat.
And that's awesome to hear that this guy,
That's like an acquisition at the trade deadline.
Right. This guy that who knew when he was going to be reinstated, you picked him up pretty early on just in case you could get him. And now you might have him for a full season. There's already questions about James Bradbury, obviously. This makes things a little bit easier for the Eagles to make a decision on Bradbury. If Rodgers is looking good the way that he is in OTAs right now through minicamp, through preseason, into the regular season, you have Rodgers, you have Slay, you have Quinyon Mitchell, you have Cooper DeJean. Our man Andrew DeCecco is all Eli Ricksed up. Obviously, Blankenship, let's see. I'm not the biggest Blankenship fan, but we'll see in year 3. How can he get better?
It's a young secondary.
It's a young secondary.
But, look, we watched. the Chiefs have won 2 Super Bowls in a row with a young secondary.
Yeah. And young might also mean quicker. So McManus also talked about the secondary being in a better place, and a lot of it is just because guys are moving around.
The secondary overall, like the big takeaway is that it's in a better place, right? Because they have more options. Like you saw Cooper DeJean get utilized on the outside. You saw him get utilized at slot corner. So they have like different options for if they want to plug him in at some point. If somebody goes down, one of the starting safeties, Avonte Maddox, does have that skill set where he might be able to go back there. A slot corner, they have a few different options that they can go with. And so, yeah, I am kind of intrigued to see how Fangio uses this personnel grouping and the way that he's shifting some of these guys. Like you're seeing the rookie and DeJean moving all over the place already. You're seeing Maddox at different spots, including safety.
Like, Darius Slay's not moving anywhere, right? He's an outside corner.
No, he's not.
Bradbury's an outside corner. I know he moved into the slot against the Buccaneers in Week 3 and actually did a pretty good job at it.
Wasn't bad about it.
But he's more of an outside corner, right? You have optionality with Cooper DeJean being able to play in the slot, play on the outside, play safety. Avonte, I didn't even mention Avonte Maddox just a couple of minutes ago. I didn't even mention him.
It's one of those things where can't count on to be
right. But when healthy, he's a good slot corner.
The one thing I love hearing about DeJean is the idea that this is his first taste of NFL football on a field. He's got the IQ, obviously.
Yeah.
That Vic Fangio is saying, I can put you here, I can put you, and he's grasping it.
Yeah, real student of the game.
Yeah,
that tells me something.
Sneaky athletic.
Because you better be a student of the game
Sneaky
with Vic
athletic,
Fangio.
man,
yes.
you know?
Hey, let's not be no profiling here.
But it's amazing. So I love hearing how good. Again, it's just OTAs. I know they're not going at 100% speed. I know it's 7-on-7s. They're not hitting. But it's good to hear the idea that maybe the secondary might be better. So I'll ask this question for you guys. My biggest concern, I said earlier this week, NFC Championship game or bust. That's my tagline, right? Appearance, not victory, appearance. And I said my biggest concern that would keep me from going all in is the defensive pass rush. No Hassan Reddick, no more Fletcher Cox. Brandon Graham's another year older. We'll see what Nolan Smith is. We'll see what Josh Sweat is. We'll see what Bryce Huff is. Can a secondary help a pass rush?
Yes. No, absolutely it can.
So
because if your secondary can cover
and not get gashed every play,
it's going to and guys aren't breaking wide open early in the routes.
Right.
It then requires your quarterback to wait a little bit more, which then
helps your pass rush.
If you give that pass rush an extra second and a half to get to the quarterback, how many times last year did we say, boy, they got close. Boy, they got close.
Right.
And they were, but last year they were getting home on that guy. The secondary played great in 2022.
It did.
If this secondary can step up, it absolutely helps them. They both help each other.
They do both help each other.
But each can make each other look worse.
But here's the deal. My biggest concern right now is the pass rush. Linebackers, obviously, but
right.
I'm not expecting much of my linebackers. My biggest concern is the pass rush. And if the secondary can help them out, then that's another reason for me to be even more confident. And that's another reason for me to say NFC Championship game or bust.
I like it. That's
where I'm at.
Look, Tim McManus got me a little
fired up.
Yeah, a little warm and fuzzy yesterday. Got to tell you.
That's good. All right.
No blue chew necessary.
Give us another question from the hat there, Connor, on this Fanatic Friday.
All right. These are all folded up like a billion times. So let's get in this. Okay. If you got $100 right now to place on 2 futures bets, but they have to be Philadelphia sports related and they have to be a parlay, what would you bet?
This is my question. All right, you got a $100 risk-free bet.
Must be. It's one bet and it's a parlay.
Well, it's 2 futures bets, so it could be championship, it could be division, it could be
whoa. Okay.
Individual award. But you have to parlay it. Like you have to feel great about both of these.
Okay.
What would your parlay be?
I got one of them.
My first thought was, I got to see if I can bet it. Ranger Suarez Gold Glove. I just don't know if I can find that
No, I don't think
on my respective sportsbook, FanDuel Sportsbook.
Eagles NFC title, Phillies, and National League title.
That's one of my first thoughts.
Eagles to go to the Super Bowl. Phillies to go to
the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I thought you were saying division winner.
No, Eagles to go to the Super Bowl. Phillies to go to the World Series. A $50. I'll put 50 on that.
Now you got to go 100, man.
No, I got to go 100.
You got to go
well, then
100.
all 100.
You got a
That's
$100
fine.
risk-free bet.
No, okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
$100 on you.
risk-free bet.
No, I'll take that.
Okay.
I'll take that right there. Easy, I'll take that.
Connor, what would yours be?
Zach Wheeler, NL Cy Young. Paul George, next team, Philadelphia 76ers.
Wow, that's not bad, though. And you can bet that.
I think you get good odds on that, too.
I don't. They're the favorites after the Lakers, right?
Well, favorites next team when there's 30 teams is still...
No, but after the Lakers, they have the second best, worst odds.
Right.
Wait, do
That's
the
what Paul
Lakers
George is
have
gonna-
the best odds for...
I mean, not Lakers,
the
excuse me.
Clippers.
Clippers
Okay,
probably,
cool.
yeah.
Clippers. Clippers have the best odds. Then it was Sixers were the
But if you feel that good about it,
then you get it. You get that leg. You get that leg done, and then you.
Yeah.
Now, this wouldn't be the largest payout, but if you did Phil's NL East just to win the NL East and the Eagles to win the NFC East, $100 wins you $208.
Yeah, but you should have done that bet last week.
Yeah.
Because the Braves were still favored this day last week.
Well, I wrote the question last week.
I mean, it's weird though. The Phillies were still underdogs.
Yeah.
Even when they were up by 4 games.
But I think that's a pretty safe bet. The Phillies will win the division, the Eagles will win the division.
How about Eagles? Yeah. Give me the Eagles to win the NFC, Phillies to win the National League.
All right, hold
for
on.
$100.
So let's see here. You want me to go
Phillies to win the National League.
All right, and the Eagles to win the conference.
And the Eagles to win the
Oh,
conference.
jeez. Well, we're already at plus 700 for the Eagles. Hold on, and then for the Phillies to win the National League.
Yes.
All right, National League winners plus 330. So $100 bet. If you were to combine the NFC East or the NFC title and the National League title, $100 bet wins you $3,340.
I would. You know what? I may put that down. I may do that.
Wow, Mr. Moneybags Kincade over here.
I may do that.
All right, coming up next, we continue to get your reaction. You can text in, call in 610-632-0975. Where's your Philadelphia sports lineage, the family tree? We got a couple second-generation Philadelphia sports fans here. John's a fifth-generation sports fan. I imagine there's some first Philadelphia sports fan generation. I would love to hear from you. 610-632-0975. And we have a name, John. 7:47 yesterday was the Kelsey update.
Right.
We'll give you another update next. And there was an apology. We'll read it next. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now is the time to become a Fanatic MVP.
morning. 97.5 The Fanatic. So I'm going to read to you the apology because we have the apology from, is it Andre? Andre?
I don't even want to give her name.
Well, I mean, she herself put it out.
I know.
It's like,
why? Because Philly Magazine went and stuck a phone in her face and went and chased her down at her place
she already
of business.
she had a written apology.
No, I understand it.
Yeah.
She apologized to the Kelceys the night of the event.
And then also put it out
accepted.
publicly, which we both said she should
have done it beforehand.
So, and she did. So her name's Andre. I won't give out the last name, even though it's pretty easy to find out. But anyways, you also have an apology that you want to make.
Yeah, I'll share one. Yeah, that'll come up. But,
caught me off guard. But here's the apology from Andre. In a heated moment, I said things that were out of character for me, which I deeply regret, and for that, I am sorry. Although apologies were exchanged directly with the Kelce family on Saturday, I want to publicly apologize to them and our community. This moment and my actions are not who I am and certainly not indicative of the welcoming community of Margate. As an adult and proud member of my community, I should have recognized and respected their right to privacy from the onset. I am deeply appreciative of the grace and understanding shown to me by the Kelceys and wish them nothing but the best. Well written.
And
That's a good apology.
Good apology.
And more importantly, again, she apologized to the Kelceys, and it was accepted the night of the event.
Right.
It doesn't, to me, it's like, it doesn't involve me.
Right.
And it's like, it's when Tiger Woods stood up there and apologized to people behind a microphone for cheating on his wife. What the hell is he having to do that for? It has nothing to do with me, nothing to do with anybody else, has to do with him and his wife.
Yeah, but
I don't understand it.
There's a billion people out there who are not John Kincade who are going to rip this lady apart if she doesn't say something publicly.
No, they're going to rip her apart now, Connor. You know what they're going to do? They're going to go like they did it last night on social media, and I saw at least 6, and I just shut it down. Oh, let's go boycott her business.
Yeah.
Let's go boycott the business. This woman, if you see her in a restaurant down the beach, you be sure to tell her she's not welcome.
Yeah.
That's what idiot a-holes are going to do.
I agree. And
they're going to do this to this woman.
And that's wrong.
Because Philly Magazine was so intent on going and sticking a phone in her husband's face at their place of business and otherwise. She apologized to the Kelceys that night. It was accepted.
Yeah.
It doesn't involve us.
But
and it's such and now people want to be a-holes.
But here's the deal, John. You know that she apologized because of the reporting by Philly Mag. We did not know about the apology.
She apologized to the person she had to apologize to the night that it happened, and it was accepted.
Yeah, but fair or unfair, the video came out, and there was no video of an apology. The video came out of the moment itself, which looked horrible.
You know why, though?
We ripped her on the show. We ripped her for it.
Looks bad. But the apology is only the Kelceys accepted it that night.
Yeah, but we didn't see it. Nobody, and Jason didn't put out a tweet. Hey,
because he didn't have to.
She apologized to me.
He didn't have to. And by the way,
yeah,
Jason,
but they're different people. They have such a public profile.
Good
Perception
job.
is reality.
Everybody was following that story. I mean, it was being talked about nationally.
If you were one of the people that was on social media last night that's saying boycott this woman's business, let's see her down the shore, see if she shows her face this weekend. If you're one of those people, you are the a-hole. You are the problem with society because this doesn't engage. This doesn't involve.
Well, hold on a second.
No, it doesn't.
I wouldn't say that there are sole parts of problem with society. You probably also shouldn't go up to a family and berate them because you didn't get a picture with them. That's also a part of society. That people don't get what they want and then they freak out.
She handled it with the person that she had to handle it with.
She handled it poorly. She apologized.
Yes.
She deals with the consequences.
And we didn't know about the apology until the story came out.
But the consequences shouldn't come from anyone else. And the Kelceys didn't want any kind of consequences on her.
You can live in the beautiful house on the hill. This is the world we live in, John. She had to publicly apologize.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. So, not wanting to attack somebody who has already had in a situation that doesn't involve me?
No, John, you're not doing it. You're not doing it. It's not about you not wanting to attack someone.
Yeah, but you say
it's about understanding they will be attacked.
No, by you saying house on the hill, you're saying like it's a high and mighty attitude.
Yes.
No, Connor. It is an attitude of reasonable, rational people. Don't involve yourself in something that you don't have to be involved in by saying, I'm going to go and pick at a woman's business.
You can't expect people to be rational. You could ask for them,
can.
but you can't expect it because that's not
But John,
reality.
here's the deal. People also boycott certain companies because they don't believe in what they believe in. Like there's people that don't eat a certain fast food chain because they're not open on Sundays, and then there's also other reasons why they boycott that fast food chain.
Are they going and saying, "Here's the"? They're not
Yes,
attacking.
there are people that go.
But they're not They're not going to a person. They're not going to a person. There are people last night that were putting out this woman's and man's address.
Yeah, that's horrible.
The address of their business.
That is
These
horrible.
people, they are the worst people because you've got nothing going on in your life that you're involving yourself in something that doesn't involve you. And more importantly, the apology was given at the time and was accepted.
But we didn't know about the apology
I
until
understand.
the story came
And
out.
she was trying to, obviously, she just launched a business.
Yeah, and it's a shame. It's horrible timing.
It sucks. And she, by the way, she was wrong.
Yeah, she don't berate somebody for not
wrong.
taking
Don't
a
do
picture
it.
with you.
But it's still, if you were inserting yourself into the story now,
Right.
all I can
you
say
don't
is,
have to.
No, you don't.
All
And
right.
you should.
So John has to apologize about something that happened, what?
37 years ago today.
Jeez. All right.
And it involves Philly sports.
Happy anniversary.
Yep.
Okay, so John's going to apologize about something coming up next. We also have today's headlines with Connor Thomas, quick show reset, and Matt Gelb from The Athletic. We'll talk about the Phillies. They begin a series with the Cardinals tonight. He joins us at 8:10, all right here, Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Salciunas on this Fanatic Friday, presented by Pumpman Philly for 24/7 emergency repair pump replacement. Count on Pumpman Philly, the guys to know to fix your flow. Coming up at 8:10, we will be joined by Matt Gelb with The Athletic. Does a tremendous job covering the Phillies day in, day out. Phillies begin a series with the Cardinals tonight, so we'll talk to Matt coming up at 8:10. In 5 minutes, it will be today's headlines with Connor Thomas. Later on the 8 o'clock hour, we will reset the entire show. Normally, I do it at the top of the hour, but I'm very intrigued by something.
Yes.
Because John wants to make a Philadelphia sports apology because you did something 37 years ago today?
Yeah, well, something happened 37 years ago today that many of our audience will know. And if they heard this song, they may remember why.
This thing called Love.
Still the One?
Yeah,
It's called Still the One?
Yeah.
37 years ago tonight, the Flyers lost Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals to the Edmonton Oilers.
Okay.
And young John, doing video and statistics for the coaching staff, was along for that whole ride.
Okay.
And before that fateful trip, some little idiot had his ring finger measured.
Oh, and not for wedding.
No. Got married many, many years later.
Oh.
37 years ago, Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Flyers had a two-man advantage in the first minute of the game. 2 penalties on Edmonton on their home ice.
Yeah.
And we scored. Murray Craven. Hope Murray's doing well. He's with the Vegas Golden Knights now. They were up 1-0 in Game 7. But before making the trip to Edmonton, a ring finger got measured.
You by yourself, or was this a team thing?
No.
Oh.
Dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, bro, that's it.
It was stupid. But I did it. And I own up to it. I've said it before.
You went to the jeweler by yourself? This wasn't even like a team orchestra? You didn't even go out with a couple buddies?
No.
You went solo?
I went solo in and then
Dude.
Yeah, it was terrible.
That's horrible.
It was horrible. And I always wondered if that part of the jinx was that.
Well, you seem like an anti-jinx guy normally, but
I am
dude,
anti-jinx.
that's amazing. That dude.
I am anti-jinx.
That's horrible karma.
That was a horrible, horrible decision on my part, and I apologize. I apologize.
Connor, dude, I feel gross working next to him today.
This is making me uncomfortable.
So this is before.
I can tell you that
this is before Game 6.
No, this was after Game 6, before Game 7.
All right, so before Game 7, 3-3 series tie. You went to a jeweler by yourself.
I happened to park on Friday. The Game 6 was Thursday night. Flyers win. On Friday, I parked, and I just happened to park right in front of a jeweler. Like I was parking where there was a jeweler. I said, you know what? I don't even know what my ring size is. And I walked in. I'm an idiot, and I can tell you.
But John.
I'm telling you this. Mike Keenan would have beaten me with his bare hands. Would have beaten me. And I made them. It's a dumb thing to do, but I own up to it, and I apologize.
But you don't think if they won, they would have measured your finger?
No, they would have, but I don't know why. It's all I could think of at the time.
It's not like they were up 3-0.
No, I get you.
You basically wrote your wedding vows before even proposing to a girl that might not marry you.
Yep, I did.
That's basically what he did.
No, I'm not. Look.
You set yourself up for disaster.
There's no explanation for it. There's other than the fact that I pulled up, parked the car, and I'm staring at a jeweler, and I'm like, wow, well, terrible. Absolutely stupid. Apologies to Paul Holmgren, E.J. McGuire.
Apologize to Philadelphia.
Our entire staff.
Apologize to the city, damn it.
Roger Gottlieb, Mark Piazza.
Oh, God.
Leon Frederick. Oh, my, yeah.
I don't know if
that was dumb.
I don't know if I can continue
That was a dumb thing. But look, I owned it. You know, you own when you're stupid in life, and I owned it.
Did you own it, like, after game?
No, I didn't own it for, years. But I did finally admit it.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Yeah, it's terrible. 37 years ago. 37.
Oh, my God. All right, well.
Great team that was.
I need to go take a shower, so that's why it's a good time for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Dude, help me.
What, do you normally take a shower during this segment? What are you talking
It
about?
feels like he
I
needs
have
to,
to
though.
now. We got the gym downstairs,
Said
so
it was a great time.
I could go take one.
You're going to want to hear this. Well, you're going to want to react to this because last night we got a NBA Finals matchup confirmed.
Yes, we did.
No word on if anyone's got their ring finger measured, but we know the Mavericks are going to be taking on the Celtics.
All right, the inbound will come 5 seconds away. Here it goes. The Western Conference champions are the Dallas Mavericks. They're going to the NBA Finals. They'll take on the Boston Celtics.
That wasn't even a game last night. I just watched my man Luka. My man.
Boy, he's awesome.
Almost the name of my son. Just go off in the first quarter.
He
Unconscious.
outscored the Timberwolves.
Yeah, he scored 20 points. It was 20 points for Luka, 19 for the Timberwolves, 35 total for the Mavs.
That's incredible.
And it's amazing because I talked about this with you guys last week. I did not think the Luka and Kyrie combo was going to work.
I did not either. I absolutely did.
Here we are now. They're in the NBA Finals, and this is one of those. Here's what's sad about this. For all the people that are like anti-Embiid and would rather build with guards, this is a prime example of it. Or build with wings, the Celtics of Tatum and Brown.
Yeah, I mean,
Like Daniel Gafford's not like this
no
end-all be-all center, and he's in the NBA Finals.
And if you say build around Jokic, is he or him and Embiid really alike? There's some attributes they
Jokic
share.
is healthier.
Yes. And
Embiid's become a much better passer.
Yeah,
Much better
much
passer.
better.
So I think he can do the things that Jokic can do and be even more athletic at doing the things that he does. The only problem is Jokic is healthy and Embiid's not.
Now, real quick, expectations for the finals. Obviously, the rooting interest is Dallas all the way, which is crazy.
Bleep Boston.
I think I'm betting. I just told Tunis during the break. I said I think I'm going to bet the Mavs plus 160.
Okay, in the series.
Yes.
Okay.
To win the championship.
All right.
Bleep Boston.
Well, let's hope the Mavericks find a way because I do not want to see
Let's
the
go.
Celtics.
Let's go,
We
Luka.
do not want to see it.
Now, as it is Friday, the final thing on headlines on Friday, we're going to pick another question out of the hat to wrap up with.
All right.
So, our question here is, let's go ahead. Is there a level that you waited till or would wait till to coach your child in youth sports?
This one was entered today. All right, so John, fill in the audience why this question was even thrown into the hat.
I brought this up to Tunis because, I coached Liv younger, very younger, and then didn't coach her and wouldn't coach her. And I asked you, I said, are you going to enjoy coaching Coop in like Little League and stuff?
I said, yeah.
No, you didn't. You didn't. You said a disclaimer. What's the disclaimer?
I said, yeah, I'll enjoy coaching them when it's at a higher level. I will not.
So I said
will
you would not
do-
coach T-ball.
Nope.
You won't teach the game of baseball to youngsters.
That's not teaching.
because it's not competitive enough.
That's not
to-
teaching.
It is. It
No,
really is, though.
Trust me, John. It's not.
It is.
The 6 kids sprinting for the ground ball and running into each other is not teaching the game of
That's a
baseball.
video clip. You can teach them better. Your kids
video
don't
clip.
have
I
to-
did it. I
Your
lived
kids
it.
don't have to do it though. They can teach them the right way with you as an instructor. You
gonna
really won't. You really would not coach Coop.
Nope. I'll coach him individually, and then once he gets to like kid pitch, then I might start being involved. And it's funny. That's exactly what my dad did. My dad didn't do T-ball. He didn't do machine pitch, and then he was my coach for a long time after that.
Interesting.
See, that's smart because I'm going to set every record a T-ball coach can set. And I don't want you to stand in my way. When I get there, jump straight.
Would you track W's and L's in T-ball?
100%.
Yes,
We're
he
taking
would.
infield,
Stop it.
outfield before games.
By the way,
We're running sprints if we lose.
I'm not going to cast dispersions, but there's an area near me that they do not allow W's and L's until like a certain
Right. Till a
And I'm
certain
like,
age.
I'm like, are
certain-
you freaking kidding
Well,
me?
it's fine if they're younger than like 6, dude.
So I would.
They don't even know the letters W
No,
and L.
I don't think. I
No,
don't think.
T-ball, I don't think there should be W's in it.
I would not coach T-ball,
Okay.
and I would not coach machine pitch. I'll coach my son individually, help him with the swing. I don't think I'd be able to coach kids hitting off of a tee. But in kid pitch, that's when I will be Coach Chunas.
We did not have T-ball. We did not have machine pitch.
Right.
So I mean, we never had it.
Right.
We had parent pitch.
Okay.
So it was parent pitch. And I'm glad it did it, but the thing is you love baseball so much,
Yeah, I love baseball.
I'm a little surprised.
T-ball is not baseball.
Yeah, but
T-ball is not baseball.
You don't think you could teach those
Machine
little
pitch is
kids
not baseball.
anything that they could value, that could make them love the game
Yeah,
more?
I could teach them to do the alligator motion, fielding a ground ball, and then 5 seconds later I'll look back at them and they'll be picking dandelions.
Okay.
It's not I'm sorry. I'll be harsh.
Okay.
I will not coach T-ball.
Wow, I think you have a lot to offer, so.
Maybe.
I think you do.
All right, let's head to the Comcast Business Hotline. He covers the Phillies for The Athletic, does a tremendous job doing it. Always love having him on the show. That, of course, the great Matt Gelb. Matt, what's going on, man? Good morning.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Great.
All right,
John hates me because I refuse. My son's 2, so I still have some time, but I will not coach T-ball. I'm sorry. I hold myself to a certain standard. I can't do the T-ball coaching.
Just be there and cheer them on.
Yeah, that's all. I'll bring the orange slices.
Yeah, but whoa. He says as soon as the games get competitive, Matt, he then will coach his
then I'll
kid.
coach. When they actually are out there because they want to be out there.
So is this
and
for
because
you or your kid? That's the question.
a little bit of both.
Now, look, Matt,
He might not want you to coach him. You don't know that.
That's
you never
true.
know.
Exactly. I should have that conversation with him. Matt, Phil's begin a series with the Cardinals tonight, but let's first react to what the stretch was just now. They dropped, obviously, 2 of 3 against the Rockies. They dropped 2 of 3 against the Giants. That's going to happen over a course of a season, even though they won 37 games with their first 50, correct?
I mean, yeah, it's funny because you look up and today's May 31st, and they are tied for the biggest divisional lead in baseball right now.
Yeah.
And the Dodgers have a 6.5 game lead in their division. That's the largest in baseball right now. And yeah, they did not have a great road trip. I don't think it's amazing that they won 1 game in San Francisco because it seems like they don't win at all in San Francisco. So they come home and there's going to be huge crowds this weekend. They have 2 good teams coming in, Cardinals and Brewers, and this will be a good homestand.
Matt, what do you think about that you've seen of this team? Do you think is completely sustainable through the next 4 months? And what are you worried about not being sustainable?
I mean, I think the pitching is both sustainable and not sustainable, right? I mean, I think they have an incredibly good pitching staff. Now, is Ranger Suarez going to pitch to a sub-2 ERA? Is Christopher Sanchez going to pitch to a sub-3 ERA for the whole season? I don't think you can say that. But even if those guys lose just a little tick, like if you're talking about those guys having an ERA around, let's say 3, let's say most of the rotation has an ERA in the low 3s, I mean, that is still going to be the best rotation in baseball. And we've seen some guys step up in the bullpen. For example, Jeff Hoffman and Matt Strom, and they have minuscule ERAs right now. They've pitched incredibly well. There will be some regression for those guys. So I think the pitching has been really, really, really good, and there's going to be some regression. It's still probably going to be one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. So when that regression comes, you need the offense to step up, and I think your concern point right now would be the production from the outfield. I mean, they're in the bottom 5 in most offensive categories from their outfield. They didn't expect to get offense from center. That means the guys in the corners have to step up.
And I know that you wrote a piece recently about Nick Castellanos potentially hitting up. It was great seeing him go yard the other day, have 2 hits. What was his 600th career extra base hit the other day. Talk about Castellanos, what you're seeing that makes you think he might be heating up a little bit.
Yeah, we've seen different moments this year where you're like, oh, he's coming out of it. Oh, that's a big hit. He had that home run in Anaheim. He had a couple run-scoring singles in a game earlier this month. I think it's less about the results that we've seen. Home run is great. He had 2 extra base hits in the game for the first time on Wednesday. He is hitting the ball harder consistently for the last 10 days or so, harder than he has all year. And I think that is a sign that he's finally feeling like himself at the plate. We'll see whether that translates to him finally digging himself out of this hole, and he's probably not going to dig himself out of it for the entire year. I mean, he dug a pretty big hole, and the season-long numbers aren't going to look great because of that hole he dug. And now you can say, okay, well, what can you do for me, from June 1 on? And other guys picked him up in the first 2 months of the year. They have the best record in baseball, and he was one of the worst players in baseball for the first 2 months. So now it's his time. It's his turn to be productive and help out other guys. And hitting the ball hard, it all starts with that for him. And I think he's done that. I don't think he's chasing as much. We'll see. We think that he can come out of it, and he doesn't. I don't know. But I think hitting the ball hard is a good start.
Matt, how far off do you believe we are on Trey Turner's return? And do you think that they find a way to somehow get Sosa in the lineup, who has done so well in his presence?
The first one, hard to say. I mean, because he was honestly, I thought he was going to come back in his homestand until he suffered what they were describing as a little bit of a setback, just some soreness. So that's going to be delayed. So I don't think you're looking at him coming back until after they go to London this coming weekend. So, maybe he comes back during those Red Sox and Orioles road games in the middle of June. Maybe it's after that. But he was looking at beating that 6-week timeline before he had some soreness in the hamstring. I don't think he's going to beat it at this point now because they kind of took a step back on him. And as far as Sosa, it's going to be hard to get him in the lineup. I mean, I'm sure when Trey Turner comes back right away, he won't play. He's not going to play 6 straight games right away, so Sosa can get a start there. But, look, Sosa is here for these moments where, you need him to fill in for 6 weeks and he goes back to the bench. And if somebody else gets hurt, he fills in. But he's played really, really well. He's been a huge huge lift for them. Huge. But he's probably not an everyday guy, at least on this team. And so he knows his role. And I think that's what's made him successful, is that he knows when Trey Turner comes back that he's probably not going to get as many at-bats. And so he'll stay sharp and stay ready. But, I mean, what a lift he's provided.
Speaking of Matt Gelb on the Comcast Business Hotline, Matt, I'm sure you get the same question that we get on the phone lines and email and tweets and our text line. It's a very open-ended question, so I'll ask you. The people keep asking, what's wrong with Bryce Harper? He doesn't seem like himself.
What do you mean what's wrong with him? He's been one of the best players in the National League this
I know,
year.
but people were pointing out the other day when he was hitting the bat, right? Like people, but there are people that are making an observation that he doesn't look like himself, and I'm with you, Matt. He had a great stretch.
I'll say this. I think what you see when Bryce gets upset, especially after at bat, it is because he feels like he got a hittable pitch and he did not hit it over the wall. I'm serious. Like that, and like in a sport where if you succeed 3 out of 10 times, you're one of the best players in the sport.
Right.
He feels like every time he gets a hittable pitch, he should hit it over the wall, and that is crazy because that's not how it works in this sport. But that's how he feels. I'm telling you, like he gets most upset when he feels like he missed the pitch he should have hit.
When you look at this chance here with what's going on with the Braves and the opportunity that they've got about them, do you think that in any way, if they had a comfortable lead in the division, do you think that in any way affects Dave Dombrowski's plan about improving this club for the postseason?
I don't, John, because I think yes, they want to win the division. Winning division is important, and having a 6.5 game lead is great. They could have a bigger lead if they keep playing the way they played. But the ultimate goal is October, right? And so if Dave Dombrowski sees an area of need, he says, look, we need one more righty reliever that we can trust in a 7-game series in October. I'm going to go get that guy. I think everything that he does in July, that is, will be based on, how does this help us in a 5-game series, in a 7-game series in October? Where do we think we have the weakest link? And, maybe they won't be as aggressive because they're not chasing down other teams because they feel like they're going to be in the playoffs. But if there's something they feel like they need to get over the top, and John Middleton's even talked about this before, it's like if he is always more willing to add if he thinks that this adds that much probability to us winning a championship. And now they can be just a little pickier, right? If there's a certain need, they feel like they can go get, they don't have a million holes they have to fill. They're not, treading water and panicking because they need to, play 700 baseball, right, to get into the playoffs. They can be picky now, and that's a great spot to be in, especially for a veteran executive who has a good feel for this team and knows what it takes to win in October.
What do you believe will the weakest link be come trade deadline time that they might try to address?
Hard to say. We're 2 months out. I still think another reliever is something that I would target. We got to see what the bullpen looks like in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, et cetera. And there might be an injury that comes up at somewhere on the field or somewhere in the pitching staff between now and the end of July that will force them to address the need via trade. I keep coming back to the bullpen as of now. That answer is probably going to change a million times between now and July 30th.
Last thing before we let you go, Matt, and thank you as always for joining us. If it continues the way that it has been for Taijuan Walker, is there a chance we see a Turnbull resurgence back to the rotation? Because here's the problem. I don't know what they do with Walker. He's not a guy that would just go to the pen, right?
I mean, he'd have to. Yes. I mean, I think if he does not continue to perform, then they will have to make a change at the back of the rotation. And, this is, I've qualified this by saying this a couple times as this is a regular season problem, right?
Right.
In the postseason, you do not need 5 starters.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you don't even need 4 starters. And so, yeah, I mean, your 5th starter is important because you're trying to win the division. You're trying to win as many games as you can. He has not performed. And I don't think that they're ready to make a change right now. I think he's got at least 1, maybe 2 more starts, to show that he can be better. But at that point, yeah, maybe you see a situation where Turnbull moves back in the rotation, Walker becomes some sort of long man. I don't know. I mean, it would be messy, and that's why they want this situation to work and why they will give it some time. But he's got to perform. I mean, it comes down to that. He has to perform. He has to pitch better, and we'll see how it plays out.
Absolutely. Matt, great stuff as always, man. We always appreciate you coming on. Always appreciate reading your work. You do a great job covering this team, and I'm sure we'll be bugging again down the road.
Sure. Have a good weekend, guys.
There he is, Matt Gelb on the Comcast Business Hotline. Does a tremendous job covering the Phillies for The Athletic. Coming up next, I want to revisit something that we got into earlier today about enjoying the ride and trying to enjoy the ride as much as we can. Because here's the deal. We're also getting information. So the Taijuan Walker situation, the center field debate that we've been having. Trying to walk that fine line of enjoying the ride, but also thinking about October and trying to help make your team better because you actually can do that come trade deadline time. So we'll revisit that conversation coming up. And a great point by one of our great listeners, Dawood, on Twitter.
Dawood?
Calling you out
as
a hypocrite, John.
Okay.
It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phils come back home. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update.
6:31 on Kincade and Salciunas on this Fanatic Friday. Coming up in a few minutes, I'm going to play you some audio from Jason Stark that we played earlier today. He would join the best show ever on Wednesday, but it's an important message. But I also want to know how do you walk the fine line of trying to enjoy a ride while also thinking about the bigger picture, while also thinking about how you can make your team better? So we'll get into that in a little bit, but you were basically called a hypocrite, John.
I want to hear this from Dawood.
From our man Dawood. Love Dawood.
Good man.
Connor.
Good mail carrier, too.
Yes.
I come from a long line of them.
Dawood makes an interesting point. Now,
What's he say?
I already know what John's argument's going to be.
Okay, let me hear.
I already know it.
Did you tell Connor what my argument would be?
I haven't.
Okay.
But Dawood checks in. He goes, Chunas, I hope John never rips Stubbsy again for the quote of making the beeline to the pool after winning when you made a beeline to the jeweler after Game 6 to get your ring size measured.
No one knew it. No one knew it.
I knew that.
I never. Well, first off,
I knew that was going to be your
first
answer.
off, as a member of an organization, you know, you never are going to be quoted, speak, or do anything that is going to be publicly for the organization.
Okay, gotcha.
And I'm 21 years old.
Right.
So I'm 21-year-old, just out of college graduate. And so stupid things are done. But nobody knew it.
But, Johnny, aren't you that people should say to people what's going on? We talked about the Bryce Harper thing, and conversations happen behind doors, but they should be public, shouldn't it be?
No, I didn't say anything. Nobody knew it happened, and no, I didn't let it know.
Maybe the people should have known.
What do you mean? I should have gone and said that
You're
it
going
happened?
karmically against the sports gods.
No, it was a stupid thing to do. And I owned it, and I've owned it.
But
I've owned it.
I knew that
many
would
years.
be your
Well, I didn't
response.
say nobody knew anything.
And I
did.
don't think you're wrong.
I
No,
think
I'm
it's a
not
fair
wrong.
it's a fair
It's a
argument.
fair
No, it's
it's a
not.
fair point by Dawood, but I know why
It's
John
not.
would say that
No.
because it wasn't bulletin board
Honestly,
material.
And more
John's thing
importantly,
was fair.
But is Stubbsy should not be speaking for the Phillies at
or
any
Paul
time.
Reed. Like, why are
Right.
our backups talking?
Our backups are talking trash. The guys who will not have anything relatively to do, whether we win or lose, are the ones out there stoking the fire, talking trash, and the fact that Stubbs did that after the Arcia thing makes it 5 times as stupid. We just had the entire city had just made fun of Arcia.
Yes.
Because he's literally like mocking the Phillies. And what does he do? Up 2-0 in the series, he mocks the opposition publicly. It's stupid. It was a stupid thing to do.
Yep.
Yep, it was.
Everyone on both sides of that did stupid things.
Oh, my gosh.
Absolutely. All right, so here was Jason Stark 2 days ago on the best show ever, and I want to ask a question off of it, or we'll just discuss it.
Okay.
But here's Jason Stark 2 days ago at the best show ever, talking about how impressive this Phillies team has been, winning 15 straight series, something we haven't seen since the 50s, and he gave us a great message at the end of this clip.
The thing that blows me away the most is 15 straight series without losing any of them. That is how baseball works. Win that series that you're playing this week. And to do that 15 in a row, only one team in the history of this franchise had ever done that. That was the Whiz Kids in 1950. What did that team do? They went to the World Series. So if you look at the list of teams that sit there alongside this Phillies team, these are teams we remember. These are teams we talk about. These are teams we're talking about today, in some cases 50 years later. So enjoy that ride. You don't get to root for teams that put themselves on lists like that. But this team is now on it. Look, they've got to finish the journey, but the first chapter of this journey was something to remember.
So it's beautiful. It was beautifully said by Jason Stark, and that's why he's in Cooperstown. Damn it. That's the Hall of Famer Jason Stark.
He's
right
eloquent.
there. But I have a question because I am somebody that enjoys the ride, right? Wait to watch the Phillies game tonight, and win or lose tonight, it will not change how I feel about the team in October. Bryce Harper not running out the ball the other day did not change how I feel about the team in October, but it is just something that I feel comfortable talking about, something that I hope to not see again. But enjoying the ride, I feel like, is mainly thought of as, don't fast forward, blah, blah, blah. Don't be overly critical. When it comes to baseball and how you can legitimately improve your team at the trade deadline, which is July 30th, am I not enjoying the ride thinking about making the team potentially better? Like, am I stressing myself over certain things on May 31st?
You know there are going to be things that have to be better. So, and you know that Dave Dombrowski's thinking about this is a potential weak link, this is a potential weak link.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful thing to be able to think about them in advance because you most likely aren't going to pay as much, and you most likely are doing it not out of a position of stress,
Right.
but out of a position of strategy.
But
I think it's great. I think it's great that you do that.
I think, Connor, so you're somebody that's, I don't know, I think you are a we'll get there when we get there guy.
Absolutely.
So have you even thought about the trade deadline yet?
I have.
Okay.
But here's the difference. You have to be able to compartmentalize those thoughts. At 8:37 a.m. on a Friday, totally fine to have a conversation about what they could add and what they might need and what you're looking at with this team right now. But at 6:40 p.m. when that first pitch is thrown tonight,
you're thinking about the game itself.
if there is an error by Johan Rojas in center field, my reaction is not, they got to go get someone at the deadline. This is why they need to upgrade. I'm watching that game in a vacuum. I'm not thinking about what the division's doing. I'm not thinking about what the Dodgers are doing. I'm not thinking about what the Yankees are doing.
It never crosses, like during the game, like when you're watching a game just sitting there, if you saw, let's say we saw Rojas get the golden sombrero tonight.
Yes.
Or he gets, it doesn't say to yourself, is the clock ticking? Is what's Dombrowski thinking? You
Never
literally
once.
just really.
Really? You don't even think about it?
Mine
No,
does. Mine does. I think about it.
Like, all right, full disclosure, you guys know how
Sure.
I feel about the Rojas thing. Like, when I see Pache get the hit the other day,
You text us about it.
I text you about it. That's
Every
my
time Pache
hashtag,
gets
that's my
a hit.
center fielder with the heart emoji. I don't think Christian Pache is the center fielder that will win them the World Series, right? But when I see Pache rope one, I go, man, that would be nice if Rojas could do that on a more consistent basis with his glove. Oh, wait, I can find a center fielder that may be able to do both at the trade market. Like, that's how my mind works sometimes.
Right. My thought when Christian Pache does that is that's a great at bat. That's a great swing. The Phillies could have really, they really needed that in that spot. And then when the game's over, you evaluate that game in a vacuum. And then the next day, you look at where does that game put him? What's the drawback? What I think is people watch the game to draw conclusions rather than watching the game to just enjoy the game. And that's what enjoying the ride is.
Okay.
During the 3 hours or so that they're playing baseball, I just wanted to win.
Right.
And I don't care who strikes out 4 times or who makes an error or who does this.
Yeah, but all right, I think there's also context. Like, what if it's Taijuan Walker's start? Now, that's much different than an everyday player. Taijuan Walker goes out there and starts and has another 6 earned run performance.
Right.
You're not thinking about, all right, how can we make this better immediately?
No, that's more immediate because that's not a trade deadline thing. That's a, does this guy make his next start? And that's based on a series of things that have happened that you can evaluate in the time. But the trade deadline is not immediate. The division race is not immediate. The playoffs are not immediate. I'm watching this game this night because we're in May and this team is great and they've built themselves a buffer and I have the luxury to just enjoy this team playing baseball. And whether they win ugly or pretty or some guy strikes out or doesn't, if they end up with more runs, I'm happy at the end of the day and we can evaluate that at a later time.
I think you're in the minority. I think I would think with that strategy you're in the vast minority.
Yeah, especially because we're such a
fan base.
Such a reactionary fan base.
Yeah, I would think you're in the minority on that, but I get you. I get the thought process to it, but me having if I'm watching the game, a couple neighbors are over, some were watching the Phillies, and Rojas has an 0 for 3 night or something. The discussion. During a game, you're discussing, you're talking, you're kicking it around. You might text with a buddy.
That's normal sports.
I think it's just, and I don't think it's not enjoying the moment or not enjoying the game to be like, okay, this is becoming a bit of a problem, or boy, maybe this has corrected itself.
Right.
You know, like Soto the other night. Like Soto, maybe you looked at Soto's performance. You went, well, that wasn't bad. 12 pitches.
Right.
He got 3 outs. Maybe that could fix itself.
Castellanos,
That's the first thing I said.
has a good
Castellanos
game.
has a big day. And
we think more I think you would rather think about the positive. How could this game affect moving forward than the negative?
Yeah, the weird thing, though, is I didn't see the Castellanos game and was like, okay, well, this is because Matt Gelb talked about, this could be him getting hot. He's hitting the ball well. I'm like, that's a great game by Nick Castellanos. They needed that in that moment.
Yeah,
and
but your first thought isn't, hopefully this can continue, or is this the beginning of what could be a nice stretch? Because I keep on telling you, I expect him to bat at some point finish around 240 this year. I don't think he's going to hover around 200 all season long.
What did my wife say to me? You're not ripping Nick today. She loves Castellanos.
But that's
other
it.
reasons.
You're not ripping Nick today. It wasn't. You're not going to be ripping Nick tomorrow.
But she'll go, oh yeah, you're cheering for him
But
today.
you're now going to watch tonight.
Absolutely.
Going, can he do that again?
Yes,
and that can be the expectation, but it can't.
Well, it should be the expectation when he's.
Well, that's what I'm.
$20 million a
You
year.
can go in with expectations. You can draw conclusions, but they can't be conclusions that are going to be solved a month or two away.
If $20 million a year, he is the Phillies version of Tobias Harris. He's the Phillies Tobias Harris.
I can tell you
he's one of the third highest paid players.
I can tell you right now, he has done more in his career at the Phillies than Tobias Harris did.
In postseason, he certainly has.
He shows up.
And that's what. Well, he didn't show up in the LCS.
No, he didn't.
Well,
but you don't get there.
Except for his first at bat.
But
you don't get there if he doesn't do the break.
But in the LCS,
he was Reggie Jackson
Nick Castellanos in the playoffs has done more than Tobias Harris his entire career at the Sixers.
2 years in a row.
Dude, I would say his entire career, period, because Tobias Harris didn't do anything in the playoffs before coming here. All right, as we continue on this Fanatic Friday, we pull questions out of the hat. We'll get another one coming your way next. More of your calls and texts on all of our topics today. You can climb in at 610-632-0975. Can't believe it's 8:42 already, probably because I didn't get in until like 5:40.
Thanks, Antoinette.
Thank you, Antoinette. Incredible Lyft driver that you are. Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Now, around the bases with Andrew.
97.5 The Fanatic. Hope you're having a nice, safe drive into work. Almost there. A lot of you.
You and your safety, I love that.
I love safety.
I think that's great that you say that.
Yeah. Or, John,
be safe.
People might not be driving into work at all. They might be heading down the shore doing a little 3-day weekend. And if you're going to do that, check out the Fanatic Deal of the Week right now. For a limited time only, get a same-day ride and water park ticket to Maury's Piers for just $70. It's a savings of $50 per ticket for unlimited rides on 3 piers and both water parks for a whole day. $50 a ticket. And I know a lot of you have families with 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids. And oh, by the way, you're probably going on the rides too. So every dollar that you could save adds up. $50 per ticket. Get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals. Coming up at 9 o'clock, we'll reset the entire show. One of our topics today was about how we, or either we as a city or we individually, have changed as a sports fan, who you are as a sports fan, because it was interesting, the backlash that we received for the Bryce Harper topic yesterday, and I know that people have changed in this city, and it could be for the better. Who knows?
No, in some ways, it is for the better.
Right, in some ways, it is for the better. So we'll talk more about that coming up in about 10 minutes, and you can climb in on that conversation at 610-632-0975, call line or text line. And John just told me during the break that he has another reason why we changed. So we'll hear about that coming up at 9 o'clock. But let's pull another question from the hat, Connor. The trusty, is it still the Wawa?
It's our Friday hat?
Yeah, it's the Wawa summer hat.
Wawa
right there.
summer hat.
That's nice.
It's going to be our
Nice
Friday
item.
staple
Wawa painter's hat.
until football season.
Yeah, till football.
You know, till football season. But right now, we have some random questions that we throw into the hat. We added some today. We'll be adding them consistently. And you made the point last week, if any of you out there listening wants to throw in a random question, doesn't even have to be sports related.
Just send them on to
Just
us.
send them in. We'll throw them into the hat. What do we got, Connor?
Which athlete in Philadelphia were you most wrong on for 2 reasons? 1, you thought they were going to be good and weren't, or 2, you thought they were going to be bad and they were good.
This is my question.
That's a really good
This is
one.
my question. I can't even think about my answers. All right, I will tell you one that I thought was going to be really good that ended up being bad, and I got duped. I was a young kid, so this is
Okay.
I was naive, but I got duped by the old rain delay show, Phillies Clubhouse.
Oh.
Do you remember Phillies Clubhouse?
Yes.
It was usually hosted by Greg Murphy.
When it was like, and you'd see it, like, by the end of the season, you would have seen it 15 times.
Yeah. So they did a special on one of their minor league prospects. This is when I should have known, because the Phillies, as great of an organization as they are, they hype up their prospects like nobody's business.
No, they do.
They did a side-by-side swing of Chase Utley and Cody Ashe.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, damn, look at that swing. And I thought Cody Ashe was going to be a decent ball player. And he didn't really last all that long here in Philadelphia.
No, he didn't.
Or in May. I didn't think he was going to be Chase Utley, but I thought, all right, this guy's going to be pretty good. And this is the beginning of the end for the Phillies. His first year was 2013. So there was still that weird moment. Are they still going to be contenders or not? Remember they traded for like Marlon Byrd and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I was wrong about Cody Ashe.
I was wrong on the side where I thought somebody was going to be good. In 2010, I trusted Andy Reid more than I trusted members of my own family.
Okay.
And when Andy Reid thought Kevin Cobb was going to be something, I was completely convinced. And that Easter night, when Donovan McNabb was traded,
to Washington,
Easter of 2010, I was completely convinced that Kevin Cobb would be our quarterback for the next decade. Because if Andy Reid believed it, I believed it.
Connor?
Completely.
I'll tell you what, a guy who I think I was wrong on, I treated Nelson Aguilar like Jalen Reagor. And at points, maybe he looked like that. We know he had the drop
At the beginning,
issues.
yeah.
You don't win the Super Bowl without an
He was
outstanding
tremendous.
postseason, an outstanding performance. I treated him like he shouldn't be on the field, and I think he proved that he is an NFL caliber, was for a stretch, an NFL caliber wide receiver, and I never gave him any chance.
Wow. And he's put together a decent career.
Yeah.
I think we could all say the same thing about Mac Hollins.
Sure.
That guy just keeps on getting on rosters.
Wow. I think we knew what Mac Hollins was. The issue is
He's better now.
You expected him to be like a guy that is going to play wide
I
out.
remember he was going to be the special teams ace.
But no, he wasn't even supposed to be a special teams ace. They tried to sell him as like, oh, this guy does a lot of stuff well. He blocks well. He does all this stuff well. And it's just like, yeah, he's made a career of being a special teams player.
So
what about your one that goes the other way? Because I have mine.
Well, my first thought is Ben Simmons, but I kind of want to take Simmons and Wentz out of the equation because for a brief period of time, you thought I think league people thought they were going to turn into something.
Sure.
And they didn't. Well, what's yours? I'm still trying to think of it.
Mine is a guy that turned out to be great that I thought was going to be not.
Right.
Brad Lidge.
Oh, interesting.
Brad Lidge's last 2 years in Houston, I just had to look it up. He had almost a 4 ERA as a closer. He was demoted even from being a closer. And I thought when the Phillies got him, what's he got? He's lost it. And then he puts the greatest closer season arguably ever on the board in 2008. That's one for me.
I have a guy.
And he's my birthday buddy, too. We share a birthday.
I have a guy who unfortunately recently passed away that I thought was going to be very good. And it's not that he was bad. It's just he didn't really get many opportunities.
Who's that?
Roman Czechmanek.
Wow. And he did just die.
He just passed away in November. Yeah, it's a shame. But he played.
Get the time
he was actually pretty good with the Flyers for 3 years and then got one more shot with the Kings, and that was it. That was it. I don't know. First name exactly. First name I could think of. All right, Connor, we'll get your answer coming up next, and we reset the entire show. What is one of the reasons why we change as fans? John thinks he has another idea. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Fanatic Friday, presented by Pumpman Philly for 24/7 emergency repair, pump replacement. Count on Pumpman Philly, the guys to know to fix your flow. Coming up around 9:30, we're going to give you a little preview of the series against the Cardinals. And I said it during the Around the Bases segment. It might be a second straight game where it's a second straight guaranteed victory by yours truly.
Okay. Listen, you were right the first time.
Okay, don't overdo this. But you just I'm just trying to advise you.
I think the Phillies have their way with Miles Michaelis tonight.
Okay, because this thing ends when you lose. No more saying it if they lose.
Yeah.
So, be very careful about what you do here.
I feel good. They're back home. They had a day off yesterday.
Because if your record...
June starts tomorrow, why not start a day early, Schwarbs? Well, actually, he actually hit a home run the other day. Yeah.
He could smell it.
Yeah, dude. I think the bats come to life today.
Okay.
Okay. Look, Connor, you agree with me, though?
And Noel's pitching, so...
This thing's over. The guaranteed victories is over once he loses.
Guaranteeing back-to-back wins is a little bit like...
I'll dive into it, 9:30.
All right.
You guys let me know if I'm crazy or not. But I wanted to reset the show. If you're just tuning in, we started off today, and I thought it was a very interesting topic, about how you may have changed as a Philadelphia sports fan, or how we as a collective city has changed as a Philadelphia sports fan, or if it's just one side's the other side. Because the other day, yesterday, when we were talking about the Bryce Harper lack of hustle, you and I were attacked. And then, as the day went on, I saw more and more people starting to agree with us. Maybe
it's a
certain generations checked their Twitter later on in the day or something. I don't know. But I know the hustle is an old school thing, which shouldn't be. I can't believe hustle has to be a generational thing.
I can't believe it. Oh, the old heads want everybody to hustle. It's really incredible.
Hustling's hustling. No matter what generation, hustling is hustling.
It's so funny because if you actually talk to baseball players, they would say to you, "What? Two men on second and third. You don't think somebody should be busting their backside down the line to try to beat out a ground ball? That's ridiculous."
But then
it's ridiculous.
There's the notion that our man, the D Train, has checked in with Dylan, that he said, I would rather him bust down the line in October and not in May. And
of course,
same.
Seriously.
And I know everyone thinks that too, but
with two men on base, no. With two men in scoring position, no. That's a ridiculous take. Dylan McTrollan is up early this morning.
I am one of those guys that what you do in the season, you should also do.
You
in
mean
the
play like you practice?
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, seriously, when did hustle ever become an optional thing in this town? Yeah, you don't want to hustle all the time. No,
but it's
really?
interesting.
You get 4 freaking at bats. You don't want to hustle all the time, But one of those times, if you don't want to hustle, it's okay, because if you conserve your energy in May, somehow that's going to help you in October. That's freaking stupid.
But here's the thing.
That has no bearing on anything.
Sports is so wild, right? Because how many people were saying this is why the Knicks are going to do well, because they've been playing 48 minutes during the regular season.
Right.
They're built for this. And then they all got hurt, right? Whereas the Eagles were very soft last year with their approach during the training camp, preseason, in between games. And then they couldn't tackle. They couldn't do the physical thing.
Right.
So, is there a fine line?
There's a balance.
There's nothing you do in July or August at training camp. If you do, and you break an ankle in November, it's not because you did something in July and August. It's so ridiculous. There's no science to it.
Well, it's
but
not
people
that
continue
ridiculous
to believe
that there's wear and tear on a body. It may not even be perceptible medically right now. But the more you do something, the more wear and tear there is on your body.
If you're throwing 100 pitches in April, it might be hard to throw 100 pitches in June.
That's logical. I'm not saying it's a guaranteed correlation every time, but there is a thought process that backs that up.
And then there's people
no science, but could be a thought process.
You keep throwing just the vague word of science.
No, I'm going to tell you is that the NBA,
Aaron Rodgers.
The NBA spent almost $3 million to study load management. and literally produced the document for their owners, for their teams, and saying,
did you
this
read
is
the
false,
document?
that it's false.
Did you read the document?
He probably did.
No, I did. No, I did not.
Oh, okay.
I did get to read some of the things that were actually shared, but no, they shared it with every one of the franchises. Going, there's no science to it
because there's rarely an experiment that you do where you just say, this is totally not true. It's normally more nuanced than that. If it comes out and they're like, well, load management to the level they're using it is probably not necessary right now.
If you had a off in 2022, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson had a lacerated kidney.
Yes.
Yeah.
When he got a nasty hit in November.
Yes.
And he had to sit out for like the 6 weeks or whatever it was. That had nothing to do with an easy training camp.
Right. But that's one instance.
No, but
there might be a guy that blows out his knee, and he was running more that year than he had, and the muscles around it weakened. There was no way to tell, but ultimately, because he was more worn down, you were more susceptible to injury.
But then again, this is where it's funny. The Chiefs still do the old school practice.
The champions,
and they're a dynasty,
the champions do arguably the hardest training camp.
Yes, there are arguments on both sides. I'm not guaranteeing one thing one way or another, but for you to use science as a blanket, there's no way it works.
You're not going. You know what? Those 14 sprints that you ran in July caused you to tear up your knee in December.
Right.
It's absurd.
I know. John, I'm hearing your point. You got to hear mine. There's a chance that both sides have credence, and we don't truly know where it is right now, and nothing is 100% incorrect. And some teams choose to err on the side of caution, and there's logic behind it.
There's no logic.
There
to not
is
running out, no,
you can't
not
say
running
there's
out
no
of ground,
logic.
but they're not running out a ground ball with men on second and third.
Now you're changing the argument.
No, but that's the initial argument. There's no logic to saying you don't need them hustling there. No, you do. You actually do.
I'm saying there's logic to wear and tear potentially putting you at more risk for injuries. I think that's a principle that has been accepted for hundreds of years.
Don't run out ground balls.
But here's all right. So I have a question because I thought about this driving home yesterday. I talked to myself in the car. Why not? It's like I'm doing. You
don't get out enough here.
No,
you got to do another hour?
I'm doing an after show on the drive home. So Bryce Harper, we've been watching him for how many years now? 5 years here in Philadelphia. You know that Bryce Harper, if he hits one into the gap, that he thinks he could extend into a double.
Right.
He's going to take that shot. He won't think about the back on that play.
No, he won't.
But
if you're taking your bat and literally attacking the bat rack, slamming it over and over again, you're not worried about your back either.
But I'm only saying the back part because that's what a lot of people are responding with on social media. Maybe he didn't remember because he walked into the tunnel, blah, blah, blah. If Bryce Harper tonight was to hit one, who's the center fielder of the Cardinals? Lars Nootbaar?
Might still be.
So
that's good.
He's out there somewhere.
He hits one where Nootbaar has to go 10 feet to his right. You know Harper is busting it out of the box and trying to see if he can stretch it into a double.
You're absolutely right.
Because you know why? That's instincts.
Well,
that means he's going up to the plate with the back of his mind. If the back is actually a real issue, if I hit one on the ground, I should not run. But if I hit one into the gap, my instincts are going to take over.
There's a perfect example for this. We play pickup basketball on Wednesdays.
Yes, we do.
What's more likely? If you're tired playing pickup, if you steal a ball at the top of the key and you have a breakaway layup, you're running fast. You're like, I got a layup. I can get a bucket. I don't care how tired I am. But if you're dribbling at the top of the key and someone steals it from you and they have a breakaway layup, are you running just as hard to chase them down?
I am because I got the heart of a lion.
You should be, but you're not every time. And you know most guys, when they see that, are stopping at the three-point line, jogging. It's not right. I'm not saying it's right.
But what you're saying is and you're making a great point there. That's situational awareness, right?
Well,
so if you got runners on second and third, you have to have the situational awareness to go, I got to beat this out. We get an extra run.
And if it's the final bucket of a game, there are still guys who are going to let you get that breakaway layup because they're gassed. And you think about how tired you are when you do something wrong and not so much when you do something right. And here's my point in all of this.
Okay.
It is a human, natural thing that every single person who's ever played a sport has done. So with a guy like Bryce Harper, who has hustle on his sleeve,
he does
99% of the time, why am I going to expect him to be superhuman?
Superhuman, I don't understand.
100%
That's
hustle
situational awareness situational awareness in a game.
The situation was not great. Okay?
Well, that's all
why
I'm
you
asking
should've-
him to
that's
do.
why you should've
Just
hustled in that
situational.
play.
Now, look, if it
And
was
there are times where in the wrong situation, you make the wrong decision. I think he did that, and that's okay with me because more often than not, largely more often
That
than
he's
not,
gonna
he
hustle.
makes the right call.
Okay. All
he
right,
was
look.
asleep at the wheel mentally, then.
So
Maybe, yeah, but
So
that's
here's
okay.
the thing: if you're just tuning in, you're wondering why are we even talking about a play that happened 2 days ago in a game in which the Phillies won 6-1. So we're trying to figure out where we are as a fan base right now, how we may have changed, how you may have changed individually. I have told you guys I myself have changed. When I was growing up with my dad is quick to boo everybody, quick to rip everybody, trade everybody, send him back to Lehigh, right? Like I've heard my dad say that a million times, and I know myself that I did that as a kid. I think I've since grown up a little bit as a sports fan. I do think my job kind of changes things a little bit too. But I want to know, how have you maybe changed as a sports fan? Would love to hear from you. Let me know if we have any texts on this, Connor, 610-632-0975. And we also want to find out where your family tree of Philadelphia sports fandom begins, because John's all Ancestry.com'd up.
Yeah, I'm doing Ancestry.com right now, and I'm just finding out so many amazing things. But it's like I'm looking at, was my great-grandfather, a couple people asked me, how do you know your great-grandfather wasn't an A's fan?
That's a good point. Philadelphia A's.
He said, like, they may have been, you may have been descendant of an A's fan.
Uh-oh,
So-
you might be kicked out of the fan
So
base.
could
You
do.
come
He
from
goes-
the A's.
He goes, if you're an A's fan. So
You have always liked Vegas.
I do love Vegas.
Oh.
I can't wait to see that stadium
I
built.
don't know.
There is another way that things have changed, though, Andrew.
What's that?
Neither one of you would ever think of why the fan base in this town has changed, and I think have this answer. Our stadiums have changed us.
I've heard people say that about the vet.
As a
to the
kid who
link.
grew up in the vet, my Uncle Bernie Flynn ushered Section 511 at the vet, and I got to go to one game a year and get brought in through the security gate to go and sit on the steps of his section. The vet, I saw things in the vet that no kid under because we never had the money to sit in lower level.
Right.
And if I got to go to a game, I never, ever I saw things that I never should have seen.
But, John, was that the stadium or has society changed?
Well, I think society has changed a bit, but the stadium was a hole. It was a hole. And I think that the stadiums have changed us. When I had season tickets out of college, 2 years out of college, maybe 3, for the Phillies, because it was affordable because you had a 70,000-seat stadium.
Right.
So it was like young guys had season tickets, and I think I had 30 games or something like that planned. And they were first row over the left fielder's shoulder.
Right.
I think the stadiums have changed this. I know this. Going to a game in the Link has nothing. It's not even comprehensible.
Close to the vet.
difference to the vet. I also think the home field advantage has changed. I think it's less of a home field advantage, too, as far as the nasty, venomy feel of it.
Dude, I don't know, man. I've been at both. I was at Game 3 against the Braves 2 years ago and Game 4 last year against the Braves. There was venom.
Well, no. I'm going to tell you is that Citizens Bank Park, it's completely changed for the better as a home field advantage. Not for football. I think for baseball, it's completely different. It's such a small, you could fit, like 3 Citizens Bank Parks almost seem like they could fit maybe 2.5 within the old vet footprint. I mean, it's so small. Everybody's so on top of you. The home field advantage is freaking amazing. The experience of going to a game at Citizens Bank, I gush on it all the time. Every time I've gone, I've been pleased. I've been pleased with the entire experience. I can't say that about the vet, like, ever.
Right.
Was I pleased with every bit of the experience? It was just to go to see the game. Now you have these beautiful venues that do it. I think the Flyers' home field advantage, Sixers' home field advantage, home court, was far better when they had the Spectrum.
With the Spectrum.
The Spectrum was that small.
Yeah, they're on top. You
Thunderdome.
literally on top of you.
And, and I think that's lost a bit in Wells Fargo.
Interesting.
So it's just I think stadiums have changed us.
Okay. Interesting. Do we have any texts coming in on this conversation, Connor?
Yeah, we do have a text here from Marie in Doylestown. She says,
Hello, Marie.
Hi, Marie.
She's more positive than her father was. He always thought the Philly teams were going to blow it. I tend to think it's going to be okay. I'm a second-generation fan and was not allowed to root for any other city's teams. It holds true that I will never root for them. So apparently her father, always thinking negative, turned her into a more positive fan.
All right, 1-1 heading into the ninth inning of a baseball game. They're going to win it or they're going to lose it?
Win the home team?
If I'm the home
Yes,
home
win.
team, it's 100%. I feel like I'm going to win it. Like I'm in it. Like, okay, we got this.
We got this. Okay.
That's the bet. On the road, I never feel as good.
Who's coming out of the pen? That's the thing.
Soto's coming in.
I evaluate. I'm not a positive or negative fan.
You're more positive than negative.
Dude, I evaluate. I'll tell you what. I evaluate based on what the teams are. Have we not had a significantly more positive run in Philadelphia in my lifetime?
We have.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
I'm positive because the teams have been good. If the team stunk, if I was the fan of, I don't know, what's a city that stinks, like
The Oakland A's.
I'm okay with being negative. I just don't have a lot of reason to be in my lifetime.
Okay. All right. That's fair. All right. Give us a question out of the hat. It's a Friday. It's one of our Friday staples. We pull questions out of the hat. And then coming up at 9:30, I'm going to guarantee you another Phillies victory today. But what do we have coming out of the hat today?
All right, boys. I'm judging you hard on this one. This is one of my questions.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You have to pick one Philadelphia area, so it could be Jersey or Delaware, shore town, to spend the rest of your summers at. You can never go to another beach. Which town are you picking and why?
I'll stick with Brigantine.
Because you just love it. You love Brigantine. Which is great.
Here are my reasons why. They have bars.
Okay.
So, it's not like Ocean City where it's dry. There are multiple bars to choose from Brigantine. Am I allowed to? I'm not even allowed to venture to AC to the
No, you
casinos.
can venture.
bro. Nope.
I can't even
what?
venture.
No, you have to
One beach
stay.
town forever.
Okay, fine.
You can come back to Philly.
Well, that's
you
right.
can go back to Jersey.
My
but
FanDuel Sportsbook app works in Brigantine, so that's the works. It's much more of a community shore town than a vacation destination.
Okay.
And so it's not as hectic. It was hectic Memorial Day weekend.
That appeals to you.
It appeals to me. And I really like, so again, Ocean City, that's where I grew up going. Not that I was drinking when I was 8. But
you hit Circle Liquor on the way in.
On the way in, whereas Ocean Beverage is right on the main strip of Brigantine. So I think Brigantine basically has it all except for the boardwalk.
Okay.
And I don't need a boardwalk.
Yeah, but you have this town. I'm very interested on John because he doesn't already have
I do not have a town that but I would go to, give me Brighton Place, something like that between 4th and 5th down there in Ocean City in the Gardens. I'd want to be in Ocean City.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
In the Gardens. Mm-hmm. That's where I'd want to be, like in the 4th, 5th, 6th Street.
You're near Wonderland.
Right near Wonderland. Right near there. I have friends who
There's
have
the bakery on the boardwalk there.
They stay right. They have units in the high-rise condos there at 4th.
Okay,
it's amazing.
Major misstep, Johnny.
Why is that?
Dry town.
No, not for me because first of all, I don't drink that much.
I got you.
And there is nothing that I can't pick up as I'm rolling into town, and I'm totally fine. Like going to a bar, it's different. Where you're at and where I'm at, now the bar can come to me.
Big benefit of Brigantine, where the bars are at. There's one main one, and there's a group of bars, both near Wawa's.
Oh, that's huge.
So when you're walking out,
the late night.
Right near Wawa's that are open all day.
By the way, Sea Isle would have been my choice at both of your ages.
Yeah, see,
that's where I was when my shore house was in Sea Isle. My cousin Barbara, that was where we stayed. Her house, the oldest house in Sea Isle.
Oh wow,
the oldest house.
My gut is Sea Isle, but I feel like when I hit 40,
you're
50,
a big Ocean Ave guy, man.
I'd get over it though. I'd be tired of. I'm not going to the OD at 50.
No, you'd be tired.
On a Saturday
drive.
I think I might have to go to.
You're not going to Shenanigans.
I might do Wildwood. I think
Where?
you got
North.
You got a good bar
Crest?
scene. North Wildwood. You got a good bar scene. You can hit the boardwalk if you want to.
Hold on. Are you allowed to say Wildwood Crest, but then venture into North Wildwood?
Yeah, it's Wildwood. No, it's all.
He's setting the rules. He's the rule maker.
Well, Wildwood, I think it's kind of a cheap answer.
Wildwood
but
is Wildwood.
Wildwood is Wildwood.
Okay.
Yes.
Wildwood gives you the best array.
Yeah.
Except right now, if you're like 15th Street or less, you have no beach.
Oh, what?
The beach is eroded so bad.
Go up and park a little closer.
Literally, it's tough.
I could also use the Fanatic deal of the week, though, too.
You can.
That's
you can,
a major
because you want to hit more.
Save $50 per ticket. Go to 975thefanatic.com. All right, it's a great question, Connor.
Good job, Connor.
All right, coming up next, we'll get another question out of the hat. We'll do one more during today's show. But also, am I guaranteeing another Phillies win tonight? Bet your ass I am. Explain more why coming up next. It's Kincade and Salciunas on a Fanatic Friday, 97.5 The Fanatic. Salciunas on this Friday morning. Hope everybody enjoys their weekend. Hope everybody has a safe trip down to the shore. Just because Memorial Day weekend was last weekend doesn't mean the shore traffic is done. So that continues today. So have a safe trip back down to the shore tonight. I'm guaranteeing a Phillies victory tonight.
Okay, so you're doing this.
Yeah, back-to-back days.
Back-to-back days.
Back-to-back days, guaranteeing a Phillies victory.
Because we can agree, Connor. We're sort of making a agree. This ends if you lose. Once the streak's lost, it's over.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's fair.
The Chunas guarantee.
That's fair. I think they handled business against Miles Michaelis this year. Today, his ERA is 5.64 this season. But something to really point out, his WHIP is at 1.36, which is its highest since 2014.
He has not been good.
I think he's near. I mean, I don't know how old he is. He's
27.
He's 35. Dude.
What?
Yes.
Why do I think he's
I
so
was
much
guessing
younger?
like 32.
Because didn't he pitch out of the country? I don't think he
maybe.
started in Major League Baseball.
He did have something weird like that.
So, yeah, he's 35, dude. So I, like... What'd you say, 27?
27. I always consider him much younger.
He's 35. I think he's degrading. His ERA 5.64, highest of its career since 2014. His WHIP is its highest since 2014. That's 10 years ago. His arm is 10 years older. And a lot of the Phillies players have had success in their career against Michaelis, but it's more the daycare guys. Brandon Marsh has a 570 batting average against Michaelis. Bohm has a high batting average against him of 556, also has a home run. Castellanos, low 200s, surprise there, but he has 2 home runs against him in his career. Bryce Harper, 278 with a home run. I don't think that counts playoff stats. And remember, that home run against Michaelis in the second game of the wild card round, that's what kind of...
Was it 2-0 win? Was that game 2-0?
I think so.
I think
Something
it was
like
2-0.
that. But he hit
that game was dry.
He hit a hanging curveball. And ever since then, remember, the entire NLDS, he was on fire. The entire NLCS, he was on fire. I think the Phillies' bats come back to life again because they played pretty well the other day. I think back home in Philadelphia, beautiful weather hitting season, right? It's a big part of it. And, oh, by the way, Aaron Nola has had tremendous success in his career against the Cardinals. Nolan Arenado has a 208 batting average against him in 24 at-bats, so it's not like it's 10. Goldschmidt in 26 at-bats is hitting 154 against him.
Oh, you got me.
So you have a lot of guys on this team that have very low batting averages against Aaron Nola. So not only do I think the Phillies' bats score maybe 6 runs tonight, I think Aaron Nola keeps the Cardinals' offense in check. So that's a recipe for a Phillies victory today.
You guarantee it?
Guaranteeing a Phillies victory.
So the 1-0 mark is going to attempt to go to 2-0 tonight.
Yes. And Salciunas
I always remember from Bob Cooney teaching me about that West Coast trip, the first game home in sports. Now, I don't know if that only applies to the NBA or whatever, but that first game home from sometimes guys are still sleepwalking.
Also curious, they were off yesterday.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So it's not like they made that trip back east and played.
Well, in the NBA, they don't. So he is the NBA. You never go. You're not playing in LA one night and Philly the next night.
But the NBA, you're used to having days off between games.
Yeah.
Like,
and by the way, the Phillies played, it was 3:30 here. So it was 12 o'clock start time out there.
Right.
Their final game against the Giants. So they were probably on a plane by.
I imagine they were back in
I
Philadelphia.
thought they got back at 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
Probably. 1 in the morning or so.
Sleep in their bed, and then they had a whole day at home.
Right. Of having to go run to Home Depot.
Yeah.
Feels like a win.
Yeah,
do all
feels
these
like
things.
a win.
You think they're running to Home Depot? Come on.
I like it.
Bryce Harper has literally been.
Yes.
Pictures of him have been taken at a Home Depot.
At a Home Depot.
That's eyewash. That guy doesn't even hustle.
By the way, and tomorrow night. I was hoping you were going to say tomorrow night because that's I've never seen. I
can't guarantee a win a day before.
Okay. I've never in my life seen my wife excited to go to a sporting event.
I love that. That's cool that you guys are sharing that.
Other than hockey. She loves hockey, but she is so excited to see the Phillies tomorrow night and to see her boy Ranger pitch.
Yeah?
I'm
glad that it worked out for you guys.
Oh, my gosh. She is so excited. Cannot wait.
All right, so guaranteeing a Phillies victory tonight. Are you guys, everyone on board?
All right, no.
That's your guarantee.
It's your
okay, it's
guarantee.
my
We're
guarantee.
not bogarting in on that.
I think they win. I'm not guaranteeing anything.
Yeah, I'll wait.
By the way, shout out to our man Dylan McKinnon rocking the Phillies pinstripes today.
He looks good.
But a non-shout out to Dylan McKinnon walking in here on fire. Connor Thomas is the only voice of reason on this show.
Dylan McTrollen.
I
so facts are now?
want Bryce Harper to have a ghost runner.
We hate facts now?
Oh my gosh.
Unbelievable.
Dylan McTrollen. He's enjoyed himself.
Unreal. All right, give us another question out of the hat. This is what we're going to be doing on Friday. So here's the deal, because we probably only have time for one or two more. So what I would like from you, the audience, do our jobs for us. Send us some topics that you would want us to debate, and they kind of have to be evergreen because it's every Friday during the summer. It can be sports related. It can be life related. It could be anything. It could be Sophie's choices. Whatever you want to do. Send in some questions. You can tweet the show. Tweet them at Connor. Connor will write them down. Put them in the hat. So be a part of the show. Give us some questions, and we'll answer them every single Friday moving forward. So what do we got coming out of the hat now, Connor?
We got an Eagles one here.
Okay.
All right.
You can only have one. Saquon Barkley leads the league in rushing yards, or A.J. Brown leads the league in receiving yards.
I think this is not even close.
Saquon in rushing yards. That means they're winning games.
That's it's an interesting point.
A.J. Brown, it could be great for Hurts and A.J. Brown. They could be losing a lot. They might be having to throw themselves back in the game. Saquon Barkley, that means they're winning.
God, that's great logic. I still want A.J. Brown.
Okay.
I still want A.J. Brown to lead the league in receiving yards because, to me, that means the Eagles are dominating.
Yeah, it could be true,
And I
too.
think that it also – how about this? I think A.J. having a bonkers year opens up more for Saquon to be successful than Saquon having a bonkers year opens up for A.J. to be successful.
And look, it's not fact that if you're the leading rusher –
No.
You're winning because Derrick Henry has been the leading rusher a lot, and the Titans have done nothing. Last year it was Christian McCaffrey, and they obviously got to the Super Bowl.
He's pretty good.
He's pretty good, but it doesn't like DeAndre Swift was 5th on the list in rushing yards last year, so it doesn't. It's not an exact science, but that's where my mind first goes.
What
that
about
if
you,
Saquon
Connor?
leads the league in rushing, that means they're winning.
My mind first went to A.J. Brown because that would mean Jalen Hurts had a really good year through the air, probably. But the other thing I think about, it's not just if Saquon's running a lot, they're winning. If Saquon's running a lot, it means they're probably emphasizing that strongly over Jalen Hurts running, which I think is keeping Jalen Hurts healthy. So I'm going to go with Saquon rushing.
Okay,
And
there's 3 different reasons.
Yeah.
This is the upside of going last. I get to evaluate
No, I
all of
like
your
that.
guys' stuff.
And it's something I never thought of. And I really, you guys definitely moved me a little bit in that direction because that's really good. The idea of I don't want Jalen running a lot. I can tell you I don't believe he will be in the Kellen Moore offense.
Especially if he's under center.
Unless Kellen Moore is going to pull some things that we've never seen before out of his hat. I'm sure he'll have a few.
Or unless it's not up to Kellen Moore. Like,
Yeah,
listen,
if
dude,
Hurts
he
is
can
rolling,
still
if
take off.
Hurts is rolling right as soon as he
I
gets
can
a
tell you
snap
this.
out of shotgun.
Kellen Moore is a lot like Kyle Shanahan with his offense. And I told people, like, the 28-3 Super Bowl, Matt Ryan, MVP that year, did not have the ability to be able to say, oh, I'm changing the play at the line. That's the kind of control freak. Kellen Moore doesn't allow a lot of flexibility for checking out of plays.
Maybe Matt Ryan should have had the ability to check out.
No, he should have. He absolutely should have.
That 28-3 did not go in their favor.
He literally, there's one time where when you watch, if you ever see a replay of the game, Matt Ryan comes back to the sidelines and he goes, run the effing ball.
Nice.
And he's tearing off his helmet.
He's one of us.
And he's like,
that's that local guy, Matt Ryan.
Run the ball.
I love that.
But he did not have the ability to check out of that. Kellen Moore does not allow his quarterbacks to freelance. Dak Prescott had very little ability to be able to change the play at the line of scrimmage.
Well, that's probably smart because Dak stinks, but
He's a great passer, though.
yeah.
Really good passer.
By the way, real quick before we get one more question, we'll watch it after the show. Always Sunny is a big part of the London thing because Rob's got the Welcome to Wrexham. I know that's not in the UK, but he's
What does that have to do with London?
Well, yeah, Wales.
Wales.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's like, I think he's
It's in the UK.
it's
Okay,
in the UK. All right. Or is it not? I don't know. I watched
I
this.
don't even think
Wales
it
is part of the United Kingdom.
Yeah, it's part of the United Kingdom. Yes.
It's
Nothing
not
to do with
England.
it.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyways,
It's not England.
I'm not
go to
missing
geography
geography
class.
here. But they did a video to promote it. Harper, Utley, and Rob McElhenney.
Okay.
And they're doing it kind of like an Always Sunny theme. So we're going to have to check that out.
Nice.
All right, what do we got on the one more question out of the hat for today?
All right, last one we got here. It's folded up a billion times like the rest of these. Why do fans of today go to games dressed like players when they didn't 30 years ago? What changed?
This is a John Kincade.
It is.
It is.
Because
you're the only person who's ever thought this.
And I don't know. It's staggering to go watch the highlights of the '93 Phillies. The highlights of the 1980. I was talking today, the '87 Flyers when they were in Stanley Cup, and to see people went to games not dressed in jerseys, not dressed in many. They didn't wear jerseys. Fans now. It's almost odd, the people that don't. They stand out in the crowd, the people that just dress normally. And I wonder what happened. Is it just stores? Because we had Modell's. You had opportunities to go buy a jersey what changed? And I'm always fascinated by it.
I think it's accessibility. I really think it is. Amazon, Fanatics, the ability to have it mailed to you, I think it makes it so much simpler for people to purchase.
There are
jerseys.
certain websites that you can pay like $20 for a jersey.
Haley has a couple, yes, that you can get to.
Yeah.
I just, it is strange, though, that when people go to games, and by the way, women going to games dressed up in jerseys, that was not a thing. It was never a thing.
Well, it is now.
I also think,
but what changed? What made that change happen?
Well, I think
that's the question.
It's also inclusion. Like, there wasn't women's sports gear like 20 years ago the way there is now. Like, the world has changed to make things more accessible and more inclusive.
Do you think most women are wearing I don't even know the question. Do they make women's Phillies jerseys?
I think so. I don't
know. Or do women just wear?
No, I think they're normal jerseys, but once you start getting gear, then you want a jersey, and it's just once.
People wore hats. Baseball games, people wore Phillies hats.
Oh, buddy.
They didn't wear.
There's a great message from Brendan Gunn about hats and suits and everything.
Yeah, Ray Dunn's wearing a suit today.
Well, guess what? They did go to games at one time. Like, you can see the old Franklin Field.
Back in the day.
We should go back to that.
The 1960 Eagles.
Yeah.
If you go see the old video of the Eagles playing the championship game, and you see guys in hats, ties, jackets.
Yeah, not Eagles caps like the old derby caps.
It's wild. I always wonder is that look, I love the fact that people wear the jerseys to games. I love the fact that people are wearing hats and wearing all the gear. I just wonder what changed it.
By the way,
what was the thing that changed?
There are women cuts of jerseys.
So there are.
Yeah.
I think it's just accessibility to the actual jerseys. It's become easier, and because it's become easier, it's become more mainstream.
Yeah.
But I would love to see a dude with like a thick Delco accent in a three-piece suit beating the brakes off a Cowboys fan.
Yes, I would like that.
That would be incredible.
I would like to see that. All right, coming up next, the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3, the 3 best minutes from today's show, followed by our crossover with the great Bob Cooney. All coming your way next. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now is the time to become a Fanatic MVP. Now to
in on Kincade and Salciunas on this Fanatic Friday. I hope everybody has a nice freaking weekend, man. I can't wait. I got nothing this weekend, which is actually pretty nice.
That's awesome.
Probably just go to the pool, and that's you'll probably do that too. Your neighborhood
We're doing pool. Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Pool, Phillies tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah, you got the
Pond
Phillies
would be
game.
good for you.
Pond?
It is a outdoor viewing night tonight for the Phillies. I've already called it.
It's good. I like that.
The outdoor TV thing
you know what? I might do that too.
That was I tell you, that's the best choice. And our man Jamie Lynch was the one who.
Oh, you got the TV. Yeah, I go with the projector that I just put up on the side of the house.
Too.
Oh, it's awesome.
I'm sure the HOA would really enjoy that.
Oh, I don't have
There'd
those
be
issues.
a rule. No, it's good. So it's looking forward to a big weekend.
Connor, Mr. Single Man, what are you doing this weekend?
I'm working
You're
9
working,
to noon
yeah.
tomorrow. You can hear me live here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm solo
good.
hosting.
Okay.
And then Sunday, I'm helping out Tim and Jeff Kirkjian on their podcast because they're doing it live from Citizens Bank Park, doing a bunch of stuff surrounding ALS and
That's awesome.
awareness for that. So
Excellent.
I'm helping them out.
That's
So
really
it'll be
cool.
a
All
fun, busy weekend.
Well, then we'll listen to Connor when we're all having fun. At least you're done.
yeah,
You got the whole day ahead.
I tell you, I think Sunday night's gonna be a lot of fun though, and it's a great night for a great event.
Yeah.
And to get to be a part of that, Connor, it's pretty cool.
yeah, it'd be perfect. Plus, I'm getting around to golf in, so I'll be
That's
good.
nice.
Oh, that's not bad either.
All right, it's time now for the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3.
Now, the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
So yesterday, we talked about the Bryce Harper moment in the fourth inning from their final game against the Giants, where he hits a sharp grounder to shortstop. And the shortstop of the Giants wisely throws it offline, and the first baseman had enough time to catch it and tag first base because Bryce Harper did not run down the first baseline. I don't even know if you could call it what he did was jogging.
It was jogging.
Maybe.
I mean, it was a light jog.
He was still far away from first base. Now, look, in the middle of May or end of May, if there's 2 outs in the inning, nobody on base, all right, whatever. The problem was there were 2 runners on, second and third, 2 outs, errant throw. Bryce Harper gets the first base. Runner scores. You have runners on first and third. Alex Boehm's up next. Alex Boehm, third, leader in RBI in Major League Baseball this year. You get the point. But John, God forbid we point that out because there were a lot of people that were upset or defending Bryce Harper. But obviously, you know how people react on social media. They don't hear the entire point. They don't read the entire article. And that's life. I'm kind of used to that at this point. But what I find interesting, John, is how much things have changed. We brought up Jimmy Rollins yesterday. Jimmy Rollins would have gotten destroyed. And 20 years ago really isn't all that long.
Nobody would have been, oh my gosh, you can't go over the best hitter in the history of the franchise, the leader, the guy who won us a World Series. Nobody would have said you can't call out Jimmy Rollins.
Right.
Period.
Absolutely.
Nobody would have been in their feelings about it. Nobody would have said, guys are being too tough on Jimmy Rollins, especially in our business. Nobody would have ever uttered the word.
My biggest concern is the pass rush. And if the secondary can help them out, then that's another reason for me to be even more confident. And that's another reason for me to say NFC Championship game or bust.
I like it.
That's where I'm at. There are a lot of people, I think, of my generation that are trying to not be like their fathers, which is the always ripping this player, always trying to find the next new thing. This guy stinks, that guy stinks. And I don't know if that's generational. I don't know if that's post-Super Bowl. I don't know if that's the fact that we have seen a lot of success. Connor and I are very fortunate that we've seen a ton of success.
And I think that's exactly what it is. As I've said, you guys have eaten filet mignon a hell of a lot more than I ever did as a kid.
Yeah, you were eating Salisbury steak.
Oh, we were eating the hungry man dinners.
Damn right.
In the tin foil in the oven, which probably ended up, killing half of us. We lived a much different sports life.
Right.
So even in my generation, I didn't want to be like my dad's generation as a sports fan.
Which is interesting.
And now I look at Livs at 20, and I look at her, and I go, my God, you're spoiled.
Right, we have
compared to it.
been.
So, and I think the more you're spoiled, the more that potentially changes your, we love these guys. We don't want to rip them. We don't want to ever say anything bad. And everything now is, if you criticize, you're killing someone.
You're a hater.
If you do this, you hate this player. It is completely changed. This town completely changed.
And he covers the Phillies for The Athletic, does a tremendous job doing it. Always love having him on the show. That, of course, the great Matt Gelb.
I think the pitching has been really, really, really good, and there's going to be some regression. It's still probably going to be one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. So,
finishing the journey's not till October. Like that, finishing the journey, they're going to make the playoffs, right? Like it's happening. They're going to make the playoffs. That journey doesn't start till late September, October, and maybe into November. It's May right now. You should not think about October on May May 30th.
It should not be something that you obsess on.
Right.
But now it's like, to me, the division is something you should obsess on.
How much have you changed yourself as a sports fan, or how much are you different from a different generation? Like, I've changed because going to Phillies games with my dad growing up, we booed everybody. I learned the word bum at Citizens Bank Park and Veterans Stadium. And I know that when I go to a game, I usually keep my mouth shut. But I know that I am different than how I was as a kid because I was also under my dad's arm at all times at the Phillies game, learning how to boo, learning how to treat your players. And I don't necessarily think that is a good way of approaching things, but I agree with you that we've also gone too far of being too soft and everything is okay. All right, that's the key three. Started a little late. I apologize. Bob Cooney's show starting in about 7 minutes.
Yeah, hi, we got Amy Fadul today. We're going to talk Phillies, Flyers, Eagles, Sixers. We'll do all that stuff. Hope everybody has a good weekend, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks, guys.
That sounded
Have a
like
good
the
one.
Rally House commercial.
Bob, I'm curious.
Yes.
What were you like?
You're an idiot.
What did I do?
What do you mean you're not going to coach your kid in T-ball because that's not real baseball? You're an idiot.
It's beneath me.
Oh, my God. There's talk that he's getting big-headed with this show and all that stuff around the station.
There's
and
talk.
now it's coming out. It's beneath me.
I would check him the minute I saw it. I have not seen that.
Yeah, it's not me.
But the baseball thing, any chance you get to bond with your kids at that level, he'll never forget
I'll coach
it.
him individually.
No, he'll
just not
never
the team.
forget it.
I just won't coach the team. I don't need little Timmy snot coming out of his nose when there's a ground ball to the third where 8 kids run for the ball.
It's not about you anymore, Andrew.
What were you like before you became the incredible journalist that you were, like as a fan?
I didn't know I was an incredible journalist.
You're an incredible
As
journalist.
John's laughing. As a fan, I've told the story before. John knows it. I was 17 when I realized, how does sports really affect me?
There was the practice you missed, right?
Yeah, it was. Well, yeah, we didn't have practice. My friends were over watching Eagles Cowboys, and they were going nuts at it.
Yeah.
And I stood back, and I was like, how does them winning or losing really affect my life? Because tomorrow I'm still going to have a basketball practice. My girlfriend's still going to hate me because I'm not watching the game with her. I'm going to still fail that test because I'm sitting here with my friends watching the game. So I did. I took a step back of enjoyment was watching the game and getting other things out of it besides the huge emotion of it. Yeah. And it was funny. I was texting with one of our friends last night, and he was telling me how much he hates sports because he was disappointed in something. Yeah. So, I don't have that within me right now.
Bobby, we'll be listening. I
Thank you.
appreciate it, even though
Appreciate
you
it.
called me an idiot for speaking straight facts.
It's not facts. It's bad.
Hey, it's bad. Hey, support life-saving cancer research. Join Pump Man Philly. Make a donation today to the American Association for Cancer Research. You can do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR. I'm living proof 3 times over. Cancer research saves lives.
Everybody have a great, great, great weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Bob Cooney, Amy Fadul coming your way next on the Midday Show for Kincade and Salciunas. We'll talk to you on Monday. 97.